So, good afternoon, everyone. So, which topics you have written?
Not all to wonder and culture is on the institute.
Yes.
First one, this society that has more justice.
Yes. Not attempted.
So thinking is like limit does not begin unless there is an opportunity. And a society that has more justice is a society that needs change.
Yes. Yes.
So basically, decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic.
Second.
Second, girls are weighed down by restriction, boys with demand. So like
And second, society.
thinking like they are not beginning on the
Second,
education is what I'm talking about and more than one as a lot.
same.
First, dictionary decision making happens at an intersection of description and logic. Second, society that has a more justice and it does not begin unless there is an opportunity. Second, girls are weighed down by restrictions, boys with demands, so equally harmful decisions.
Same.
All who wander are lost, and girls are weighed down by attachment.
First, second.
Education is what you can observe and like for
Yes. So, were you able to complete comfortably in 3 hours? So, completion is not a problem. Yes. Problem is content, philosophy. मैथमेटिक्स में फिलोसफी कैसे आएगा? Yes. So content is always the challenge. So writing is not challenging because writing speed has increased, isn't it? Because of your practice for other papers, so comfortably people can write 2 tests, means 2 topics. The challenge is that ki how you write as per, let's say, that ki themes, not content. Online people, so they difficult to ask which topics you wrote, although you can still write in comment which topics you wrote, just to get an idea. Like largely people will go by topic first, isn't it? Or I'm finding wondering that topic is also being written. Music is also being written, isn't it? Mathematics, music, that aspect. Second side, I think the education, I think a girl related topic, and next is justice related topic. So this is what I guess you are writing. Anyhow, we have read few of your answers. I just, as we have habit of reading it, to know what you write. Although we know that what people write and how they get deviated from the main theme. Like one answer I wrote in which it is thinking. The question is on thinking, person is writing on knowledge. Right. The entire essay, person focuses on knowledge, not on thinking. Can we equate knowledge and thinking? No, thinking is a dynamic thing. Knowledge is that you acquire, let's say. So this is how you can see this. So is it not audible? Not audible. Right. So yes, initially I speak low, gradually Rahul Dravid type. This, so that way it starts like so. That is what we can say. So that way, let's say that that entire essay is deviated. When you write on knowledge, not on thinking, and then it focuses on one Socrates, let's say that. So that way you can consider. Similarly, let's say that nowadays people have the habit of linking it. Once they are done with their introduction, and then the second paragraph, the initial paragraph, then they start linking it. And they try to link with several such, let's say that examples you can consider. Like say they can write Buddha, then once done with Buddha, they will talk Vivekananda. Once done with Vivekananda, they will talk Mahatma Gandhi. Done with Mahatma Gandhi, then talk with Ambedkar. That is how they will try to write. It means that they are at the same level. They are not changing the, let's say that essay, let's say dimension. They are writing the same thing with different examples. This. So that way, let's say we say that essay will remain at taking off level. We use a term, let's say. It remains at taking off level. This. That is how we should avoid. Second thing is, now there is a culture to link it. Social, political, economic. Once you are done, national, international, this. So then again the link. The second aspect is, first aspect is examples. And second is, let's say, links. Both keep your essay at this level. Yes. Essay should go like this. Once you have started, so it should gradually, let's say that it should take it. This is how say culmination. It should reach to a certain level. Right. But essay is what happening? It starts and then it is just taking round here, let's. This is nowadays a common problem across candidates. Right. Most of the candidates have this problem in essay writing. Right. Because they do not know how to take from this to that level. This. And then let's say when you write that essay, so thereafter, once you have reached to a top, let's say, it should gradually come down. This come down and finally you conclude it. This. So, but it should not be sudden, abrupt conclusion. This. But conclusion also happens, right? Abrupt. It should happen gradually. Right. This. So that is how we have to learn. Means it has a flow. Right. Essay must have a flow. This rather than linking and examples. Right. Many times it can happen in both essay you may write the same examples. Because there is only one Vivekananda. Isn't it? This. And this is how only one Buddha. So this, if you want to link with his spirituality, philosophy, so that is how Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, isn't it? This. So many times it can happen that the examples, the nature of examples also remains same. If you have this habit of writing, this. So you should try to learn that whether you are able to address the theme demand. This. And that demands that you should understand the essay from different perspectives. How to understand it, how to know it, how to improve it. While having discussion, let's say, we'll try to tell. So, just to save time, This, although generally I do not follow these things, but to save time, we are trying to use this. And I will follow while, let's say, taking this help, we will try to discuss. Let's basically, when you get essay, the first thing that you should try to know the meaning. Meaning at first sight, isn't it? When you see something, the meaning strikes in your mind. This, so any topic when you read, your meaning will also strike in your mind. This is the meaning. This, which is we say generally obvious one. Right. Then we try to further, since risk hota hai, isn't it? 125 marks. Right. So whether I am understanding it right. Right. To question yourself that you are understanding it right, you should try to break it in different parts, different pieces. Basically, one topic can have two parts, let's say that. Nowadays, when they are giving essay, it can have two parts. Or let's say that let's say rare case, it may have three parts. All these 8 topics have only 2 parts. This. So you need to understand those 2 parts, which is, let's say, thinking is like a game. Now, as I told that, thinking someone is linking with knowledge. Right. But knowledge can be the end result of thinking. Right. So that is how it is a wrong interpretation. This wrong, let's say that. Now game. So game you have to link. Means this quote is related in the context of game. But it is not just expecting you to write only about game. Right. It has a metaphorical aspect also. It has a subjective meaning also. The game is the basis to relate with other things. But obvious thing is that we have to write first about game, isn't it? Then the second part is that, let's say this. So it does not begin. So does it mean that our thinking does not begin unless we have opposite team? Does it mean that thinking always begins when we have opposite team? Isn't it? So this is what we have to know. So the main theme we can say that the essay is about thinking versus opposite team. So most of the part of your essay will focus on thinking versus opposite team. Most part, the support side. And that we say as the main theme. This we say as the main theme of the essay. The main theme is the, let's say that key aspect which demands the most of the focus of your essay. This. Now, then let's say these are the things to further understand, right? Where you should ask what, why, when. Although these the statements are obvious, so it is not needed, isn't it? But let's say what does it mean? When? Will you start from something origin? What is the meaning? When is from where I should start? Hey, so should I go in ancient time today, or I should just start present any sport, any game, isn't it? This why aspect, why it is, let's say that thinking is like, the why it is being linked, that you ask, in which context it is being told. So basically, when you will ask these things, it will further help you in understanding the meaning of the topic. These are the way to understand. Then the holistic meaning, let's say, a topic can have meaning in terms of different parts, let's say segments. Then it's a holistic meaning. Holistic meaning is related to what exactly they want to expect when you have to write thinking and, let's say, game. So to what extent you have to go in that thinking, right? This, then thesis and antithesis. Let's reduce it to this, that the obvious thing, that have you started with any game in your answers? Right. Have you mentioned any game in your answers? Right. To which game you have mentioned? chess. Yes, game of chess is the obvious one. This that is how it can be. Now let's say thereafter you write basically we write once we understand it. So this is how let's say introduction. You start writing introduction. We follow this 6 components of essay. This we have been following. It depends on you. You can follow. You may follow your own aspect. It helps in structuring. Let's say once you know the meaning, so you have to structure your essay. That which introduction people write. Then interpretation is basically related to meaning part of the essay. Elaboration is that this is how the thesis part, that the support you write. And within elaboration, let's say we write antithesis, although a separate point we have given. And then we start writing way forward and conclusion. This is how any essay can be structured. Right. If you have the antithesis in mind, it will always remind you that there can be a counter view of this also. Hence, your counter view will not be missing. Counter view will not be missing. This. So now you think, have you written counter view?
But is it necessary to write a counter?
Yes, not necessary, but then let's say thinking or anything that we say that thinking, can we say thinking always comes when there is opposite team?
So the statement says that it does not begin until. So that actually means like it will always begin like.
Yes.
Like in syllogism perspective, like when we say not, it's actually extreme no actually. So if you take the contrary, it will always begin thinking when there is an opposite, like the other interpretation.
So like it says that it does not begin unless there is an opposite team. So it can mean that unless there is an opposite thought, the thought that you have does not begin in any situation. So a thought cannot exist in singularity. That is
Right. Means a thought cannot exist in singularity.
like if thought has originated, it must have some context to it.
Yes, it must have context. But the question is that do you think that that context is always opposite?
Not always,
Then
but it should be centered around something.
yes, it would be centered around. But does it mean that there will always be something opposite? Right. No. Right. There are several such explorations, self-explorations, which have happened without any such opposite. Right. This. Anyhow, that's not the point. Point is that this is the structure of essay. This. You write thesis and there is also antithesis. This. Then you make a complete view on that. Right. So that is how we say
But
this.
at the same time, we should not reject the statement.
No, yes. Antithesis does not mean it is rejection. Antithesis means that you try to also bring the other perspective. It is not first GS paper type of answer. Right. It is that you also try to bring the other perspective in the essay. Otherwise, essay becomes the one-sided. This. It is because of that. So this way. Anyhow, like if we come directly, let's say, although we should not focus on that antithesis, right? First, paragraph, point, format, that different thing, we'll talk. See, there can be self-exploration. Thinking may not always be right. This. Are we presuming that when there is a thinking per se, whether thinking per se is right? That any such thinking that you have when you are writing, so that thinking, even if there is opposite team, but thinking may not be right. This. And then let's say discrimination at sectors. But let's go first talk, otherwise it will distort. We'll come to that. Right. Anyhow, once you are done with, let's structure that introduction, interpretation, and elaboration. basically, let's say structuring is let's inherent in you. You don't have to exactly write that. We don't have to write the term introduction, interpretation, elaboration. We don't have to write. Rather, the way we write it itself shows that yes, what we are writing. Right. It itself shows that way we can consider. So once let's say that you have understood the meaning, then you introduce. Let's say that we say this interpretation, introduction. Now people start with stories. Nowadays it has become a culture. You start writing any story, anecdote, etc., etc. You frame it. It is good. Right. You can do that. It is not a problem. Right. But many a time when the context is obvious, right? This is what we believe. We prefer, basically we, or I say that, I prefer more of writing obvious thing first. Less obvious things later. This. When something is very clearly written on the wall, so why I should not talk about that? Why I should start writing unnecessarily a story which is very indirect and then try to link this. So that way it can be. So when you let's say start writing something very obvious, suppose you know the context. We know that it is related to sports, game. So you can start with game of chess. Right? Or you can start with any such obvious aspect. Right? Simple that how sports have improved. The sports have improved because of competition. Right? You can say how the sports levels have gone. Right? This, or let's say that recently, although आजकल example देना ठीक नहीं है, right? But I say in classes, Wasim Akram wrote one book in which he has referred about Sachin Tendulkar. He says that his standard of bowling improves when the other side batsman is Sachin Tendulkar. That means the standard of bowling improves on the basis of who the person batting on that side. This. Anyhow, you can have your own story or aspect to relate. So it is instead of writing a story, anything making let's say any anecdote, what you are trying to do is directly linking it. This. When you directly link it, it is striking the chord with. Right. Or even you write anecdote, so after reading that, examiner will come to know that you have understood. But by directly writing this way contextually, so even not, let's say like reading entire that aspect that examiner will understand. By reading in the beginning itself, it is giving a message that it is well understood. This we can consider. Now, that is how we have told that. Although there is nowadays a singular way to introduce, all people have almost started writing one way. Right. Which was not in past. In past there used to be lots of diversity. Nowadays there is more homogeneity in writing essays. Right. Because all people have become good imitators. Right. And they try to imitate what? Topper or any person who has got high marks. Exactly they want to copy the way the person writes. This culture has come. Because of that it has introduced homogeneity rather than diversity. Hence, it will become less acceptable if we say that you can introduce context wise also. Right? Because people have trained themselves to introduce as per framing any such a story, let's say like this you can consider. Anyhow, still we will say that if essay topic is very obvious, so why not start with very obvious thing to strike the chord at the initial stage itself? Why to frame a story? This. Anyhow, choice is yours. Once we are, let's say, done with this introduction, so then the second paragraph, let's say, you can write introduction in first paragraph also, second paragraph also, whatever the number of paragraphs that you take. Generally, we do not write big paragraphs. This So it is avoided. Suppose you write your introduction in first paragraph, second paragraph also. Then once you are done with whatever the number of paragraphs you take, and then you start the next. The next thing we say after introduction is interpretation. Interpretation means the meaning of the topic. This. Now we don't have to exactly write, right? What is thinking, what is game, what is, let's say, opposite team. You don't have to write. Rather, we have to elaborate in the paragraph in such a way that the paragraph makes it explicit that what the topic is all about. This. Although here, let's say the topic is very itself explicit, thinking and game, and we can consider opposite team. But when we have the topic like, let's say, called intuition and logic, intersection of intuition and logic. This. So now intuition, logic, what do you mean by that? So a bit of that elaboration is needed. Many a time it happens that people do not write the meaning. They end up writing entire essay. Means entire essay is written, but what is intuition, what is logic, these things have not been explained anywhere in the essay. Hence, it creates, let's say, a gap in your essay. When we will test on the line of coherence, right? There is a thing called coherence. Whether your thoughts are coherent, interconnected. This. So, read, let's say, any editorial. If you take the editorial of any newspaper, you'll find how the thoughts are interconnected. Even some of the, let's say, just few days back, one article was written related to CAG and artificial intelligence. You may have read that. In that, initially, the person is writing that CAG does 3 types of audit: financial audit, compliance audit, and performance audit. Just imagine he is writing an article, but what he is writing by that thing, he is trying to make it explicit, clear. Anyone, the person who does not know that CAG does this type of audits. This. So that's why, let's say, once you are done with introduction, then we start with meaning of the essay. Right. And meaning does not necessarily mean that the way we just say that game means this or chess means this. Right. We try to write in such a way that it makes the meaning explicit. Right. Like that thinking. The people can think, they will feel encouraged, motivated when they face challenges. Right. When something is, one person is forced against the wall, then person starts thinking. Person starts imagining. That society has been time to time, let's say, that forced to think. Right. So, and then it has brought innovations. Anyhow, let's say that you can, let's write that meaning of that, and then further, once you are done with that paragraph with explanation a bit with example, then this is how comes elaboration. Right. And in elaboration part, let's say that since it is related to game, the first obvious thing we will write. Right. Now your examples may differ. Right. Our examples may differ. But certainly your example should be something also obvious. Right. And other examples may differ, but this example is very classic. That's Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. Right. The fight. Even that it is written also that it is fight of the century. Right. The fight level increased because of the two competitors. Right. Opposite to each other, let's say that. This. Anyhow, so you can relate yourself, whatever, let's say that your examples you have. But let me ask you, if those you have written, have you linked with his sports?
Yes.
Have you linked with his sports? Yes, you have linked, but let's others. Right. How many have written this topic? Right. So linked with his sports? Yes. Right. So after that, what you are linking? After that, it depends. This now let me tell that when questions are philosophical, so you should not always try to link only with social, political, economic. Why? Because philosophy starts with individual. Philosophy is based on individual mind and reasoning, thinking, right? So, how your life may have also changed, right? Or how individuals' day-to-day life, this you can consider. What we find is that people, even philosophy, they keep writing unnecessarily to this and that aspect, right? But in, let's say, people, or let's say your life, there can be hit and trial in life. This, so how our thinking, let's say, improves. Our thinking improves when we get competition. When we face, let's say the opposite team, and then you can build your further examples. Means basically what we mean by when I was showing this. So you should not try to just give one example, then write another example. Rather, first you explain in depth, right? This thinking like a game and opposite team, that you first explain in depth. Have you adequately explained this? Right. Or let's say that you have just given few lines of explanation and then only examples are speaking. This, if only examples are speaking nowadays, that is how it has become a habit. Instead of explaining, instead of explaining by 1-2 paragraph that aspect, we start just giving one example, second example, third examples. So then our explanation remains inadequate. This, and that is how essay will go this way, essay will not go this way. This you can consider. Like suppose we link, right? So when we link, let's say that, so in this scientific temper and innovations, right? Can we give scientific, let's say temper and innovations, can we link economic spheres, this technological spheres? Now it should go to the till present level, right? At present, what has happened in Chat GPT? Let's say there has been a competition, right? Competition, and how ICT has advanced because of that competition. This, so, and then this thinking is
Google Bard is competition.
yes, right. So it is coming, let's say that. So this way we can say, so our examples level should be, let's say, improving. Right. Our level means the gradation of example, the level of example, it should not be of the same level. Right. There should be, let's say, the level of example should improve so that you take it to a new height rather than just to link. If you link, it will remain at the same level. This, and that is how the challenge, let's say that when you are linking. Now, it is not important that how many fields you link, how many sectors you link, rather how effectively you link. This, the nature of example, right, the way you link it, the way you argue it, that becomes more important, right? But what we find it as nowadays, just as I told in beginning, people have just linking this to that, this to that, this, and that is how it can consider. Or let's see some obvious aspects, some natural aspects. So what we have given example apart from sports.
Take an example is corporate, corporate sector.
Corporate sector.
For example, you are saying game, right? Game can be in terms of corporate sector also. Suppose winning and losing. Some have innovation, some don't have innovation. For example, competition and cooperativeness. Some companies have competition, some have not. I have not taken an example as chess or something. Sir, a historical context, sir, the USC or USSR, sir. We can also take example of Tesla and Newton, the scientists. Sir, ISRO, NASA, or SpaceX.
Yes, that can be also linked.
SpaceX.
Space we can link, defense we can link.
Microsoft
Right.
and Apple.
Yes, Microsoft and Apple, that can be linked.
University.
US and USSR, that can be linked. Yes. So there can be several such linkages that we can say that how we improve our thinking, means level of thinking improves because of when there is a rival. Right. Or the bigger the challenge, the opposite team, the greater the possibility of thinking. Isn't it? The level of game also, let's say, goes on like that. Australia and South Africa match. Right. That 438. This. So, yes, parliamentary.
This faster democratic position is important.
Yes, for a good government, good opposition is also needed. That can also be linked. Right.
Sir, ये तो example ही बना मतलब dimension नहीं होना चाहिए था.
Dimension in the sense that suppose you want to bring politics, you want to bring space, you want to bring defense, you want to bring any other aspect, you want to bring scientific innovations. So these are some, let's say, largely people will focus either it can be international politics, let's say that, national, international politics, that you can link, or it can be defense, you can take a warfare also, right? Technology, you can say, right.
When we get like Buddha living life, then suddenly with a dead body and then realize thinking about because this was the object context.
Right. But that is not something, let's say, that opposite team, let's say that is how the challenge here, let's say, something that it is a self-realization rather than opposite team.
But this happens living a good life, then suddenly with a second type of the second.
But see, it is his sight. While, let's say, going, he has a sight of something. The sight of something is not something he is stumbling to that. Right? It is his self-observation. It is his self-observation. Again, the question is what you interpret of opposite team. Right.
Like Oppenheimer and Nazis.
Right. But that's not opposite team. Try to understand. Right. Yes, we'll come to that. See, try to understand. Some examples are obvious. Like suppose you write Buddha, it is not an obvious thing. Right. Then we will start unnecessarily interpreting what is opposite team. Right. Opposite team here is, let's say, something you are forced against. You are rivaling or you are competing. This. So either there is a competition, there is rivalry, or you have been forced against someone. This. So that interpretation, so there are already very obvious examples. When there is a war, the war forces to think something, let's say, it enhances our thinking. Like say warfare. Right.
This from the main thing because the main thing is that it does not begin, but we are talking after beginning, like what all is happening in the competition and all we are thinking about other aspects. So is it a deviation from the real topic?
No, like what you want to say?
No, I'm saying like the thing is like thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite. But
yes.
we have crossed the beginning and we are like talking after beginning and all like the competition, the other aspects.
No, but then what we will talk? According to you, what we will talk?
Like how it started, like no, it's like I haven't attempted this question, but like I feel like it does not begin. We should always argue in such a way that any initiation is because of an opposite thing rather than like it goes competition.
See, ultimately we'll come to that level. Right. You are right that when you say it does not begin, that it does not begin, so it means, let's say suppose let's say we are let's say India, Right. As of now, let's suppose there is no war, right? And let's say that tomorrow war happens. So tomorrow war happens, so thinking will begin that then. Our thinking will begin before war itself. Many a time, let's say this we have to understand. Arguing that ki before war or after war or when opposite team comes, but when that opposite team comes, this like say that there are two ways. Let's say that ki, you know that ki tomorrow is the match. Let's say I hypothetical. Tomorrow is match between let's say ki India and South Africa. Right? Now you know your opposite team. This let's say World Cup. The World Cup, let's as long as schedule is not announced, nothing is announced, so you do not know your opposite team. So you are just preparing yourself. Right? Now the day the schedules are announced, so you know that ki which let's say that ki teams are going you are going to play against. So now your opposite team is clear. Right. So then thinking starts. Right. Thinking starts in their context. This is one level of thinking. Second level of thinking is that ki it happens when you play during the game itself. During the game itself, isn't it? Like say South Africa and Australia match, nobody could have expected that this score had been so high, right? Now there is one thinking during the game itself, right? Another thinking is before the game itself. So should we let's say talk these aspects, right? Should we make such difference? So if we start making it, unless let's say there is, yes, it is presumed when we are writing that there is a rivalry, let's say that. Let's say a country has nuclear weapon, now you want to have nuclear weapon, right? So, or let's say there is a war, already let's say the opposite team is obvious. So then you are thinking, I don't think that we have to make any such let's say difference between before and after that situation. It is well presumed. Otherwise, I guess it will become too much or unnecessary technical.
So also thinking is not a continuous process. New thoughts are always
Yeah, it's evolving. It's a cyclical thing. It's
that
yes. Thinking has a process. This you can consider. Thinking has a process. It is because of that. Right. Anyhow, yes.
Yes, sir, like 2004 before tsunami. So earlier India were not thinking about the preparedness of the tsunami and the alarm. But
No, we had preparedness, but let's say that tsunami taught us something else. Right. So we started thinking. Yes, we can consider. Yes. That way we can say. Right. But again, I will tell that let's write those things where you have the obvious opposite. Already we have enough such areas that we can write, and therefore unnecessary less obvious thing when we start writing, so then it becomes secondary content, not a primary content. That is how we need to understand, right? But I was saying taking essay to that level, so you need to talk some of the prevailing things even today. Right. Some of the prevailing things today, let's say to take it to that level. जैसे अभी क्या थिंकिंग चल रहा है, अभी कौन सा ऐसा अपोजिट एस्पेक्ट हो सकता है पॉलिटिकल स्फीयर में या किसी एक स्फीयर में. यू कैन नॉट राइट इन एवरी एरिया. तो वन इज चैट जीपीटी इज वेरी ऑब्वियस. The technology you can say and how there have been, let's say rivalries, it is further bringing innovation. So that can be even sports itself you can link, or you can take Mars mission has happened recently. Now the India has gone moon mission, let's say that. So that has created let's say thinking across the society, right? Something which we link with, which is let's say at present. It takes your example to a bit new level, right? Rather than just giving similar nature of example, although they are different.
But in Mars mission, what is the opposite?
not for us. We have become opposite team for others. Right. We have become opposite team for others. That's why Russia rushed to moon. Right. To just become first. This. Right. Enough. Right. See, now let's see thinking. When say thinking does not happen unless, right, it puts a condition. Right? Does thinking happen only when there is a positive? Right. Many area we do not have a positive. Right. After all, you have pondering also, self-exploration also. Right. The self-exploration, act of pondering, other things, let's say, those things also result into, right, thinking and innovation. Right. People keep thinking always. Human mind always keep thinking. Right. Human mind does not take rest. So when human mind does not take rest, does it ki human mind will think only when there is opposite team? Right. Yes. Not necessarily.
But in this context, the opposite team can also mean the thoughts that are counter to what we are thinking. So like
Yes. Now opposite team can be the imaginary opposite also. This you can say. The imaginary opposite.
so, but in that
But
sense, any thoughts which originates in our mind that has compromised. So, but
Like for instance, like Newton found gravity because rapid fell on his head. That is not a like an opposite team or anything. Like it was a self-wandering you can say. But
see, we cannot try to understand that. Instead of going into technicality, we can say that we cannot deny the fact that there can be thinking without opposite team.
so without opposite team can also mean that the can like thinking cannot exist in a vacuum. You must have something to think.
But that framework is not necessarily opposite.
So, but that thought we're thinking that needs something to be based on.
Yes, the based upon can be also supportive, not anti. Do you think always it should be opposite?
But like, whenever you take a decision,
No, no. Try to see. Many a time you go and you build, keep thinking and keep building your thinking on that. Right. Many a time, let's say literature, poets, what they do, imagination, thinking like imagination, fictional things that you create. Great. So self-exploration, yes, there is always certain motivation behind thinking. But that motivation behind thinking is not always something opposite. It can be in support also, that can be further, let's say, escalating your thinking, accelerating your thinking.
while we are in a introspection mode, we are continuously debating with ourselves. We are presenting arguments that are against each other. That is an again opposite thoughts to what we are.
It is not necessary, right? Try to understand. When you have, then in that way we can say that then there is always something in the having something in the context and having something in the opposite. Don't you then think that though they can be two different things?
So opposite is not an absolute like it should be always against it, but there should be something to be that the original thought has to be based upon.
Yes, but when it says ki opposite team, right? The opposite team, it says about something against. It is not the context. Right? It is not the context. There is always a context to think, but context is not always opposite. It is because of that we are saying. Anyhow, that's not the point. Point is that any essay topic will have its antithesis. Antithesis is that there can be a counter view to the view that we express. That is what we mean. Now, essay, let's say if we start having such literal, technical interpretation, then it can become very technical answer. But we have to write a general essay answer. Right. How I can tell? There are other topics if you see. Let's say they say logic. They say regions. If you start writing on logic as per philosophy, do you know where we'll end up? Right. And if you start writing on regions as per science, right, so we'll end up having normative versus empirical. Right. So basically, yes, we have to take the obvious interpretation, although we should go in depth of that, but we should not become too much technical. Right. Otherwise, many a time it may happen that what is obvious, we may not end up writing that. What is less obvious, we may be end up writing that. This you can consider, right? That's why a bit of antithesis can be written. And we have written also, we have questioned the thinking per se also. Right. Here it seems the essay presumes that thinking starts, and its connotation is that thinking is good. That's why largely we have given constructive meaning. But that thinking, there is a opposite team, so that thinking may not also be, let's say, right. This you can say. Means thinking, whatever we let's say whatever we have, it may not always be right. That can also be written when you are writing antithesis. This you can consider.
But sir, how does it connote that thinking is always right? How does the topic connote that?
Yes. Topic connotes because whatever you are writing all constructive examples. Why you are writing all constructive examples?
But that can be dependent on the person who's writing it.
It is about interpretation and how a person interprets.
It does not mean that thinking is always right.
Right. Right. Try to understand. The obvious meaning of again the essay is the thinking starts with opposite team. It means ki you are in complacency, you are in let's say state of inertia, and you start thinking. That start thinking is something you start having constructive thinking, something better thinking, right? Or just any kind of thinking. So whatever the examples you are trying to give, they are all examples you are trying to give in terms of improvement. Right. All the examples you are writing an improvement. How there is opposite teams, it takes the level. We started with Wasim Akram and Sachin Tendulkar. Right. So it is because of that we are saying.
So what can be antithesis to that?
Antithesis can be thinking may not always be necessary, means thinking may not always be needed for when it will not always come with an let's say opposite team. There can be self-exploration also. Right.
But regarding the nature of thinking, like
Nature of thinking means?
like you said that it has to be constructive, that is implicit in that itself. So what can be antithesis to that? That it can also be destructive.
No, destructive you don't have to write. Rather, see, not understanding. When we write, when we write any essay, let's say that, essay is a long piece of writing. Suppose you are writing. Now we have given, largely you have given a view on in support. Now let's say you are trying to go other side. So you try to bring a bit of other side of the view also. The antithesis is always going to be less in intensity, less in proportion than the thesis that you write. But it just gives your also view or a perspective. You can think on this from other perspective also. Right. So we don't have to write detailed, let's say destructive, it is destructive. No. Just we are saying that thinking may not always be right also. The thinking that we are saying. Even if there is opposite team, but a person may not think constructively, a person can think in destructive manner. Right. Like say, we also develop our nuclear weapon, but that is a constructive program. But Pakistan has also developed a nuclear weapon, but it is not a constructive program. Can we say?
But from their perspective, it is constructive.
Why not? Because we can develop and they also might be thinking, yes, we should also.
So from their perspective, it is for
See, don't become so much skeptical here. they have developed by stealing those technologies. Don't you think? Don't you know?
No.
So you also like took from that Canada nuclear reactor and
No. Don't bring these things, right? फिर तो हर चीज का कोई बेसिस नहीं होगा. If we start talking in this way, फिर तो हम रामायण को किस चीज के लिए एग्जाम्पल देते हैं? राम राज्य का देते हैं. और भी तो रामायण है, और भी कई तरह के रामायण है, राइट, डिफरेंट वर्जन्स. लेकिन हम रामायण को किस लिए एग्जाम्पल देते हैं? राम राज्य के लिए देते हैं, ट्रूथ के लिए देते हैं. क्यों देते हैं जब देर आर अल्टरनेटिव रामायण्स एंड दे क्वेश्चन दिस? ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. ऑब्वियस थिंग्स, राइट, जो ऑब्वियस है, ट्राई टू फोकस ऑन दैट. If you think that Pakistan has not developed nuclear weapon by stealing those technologies and etc., and India has also done the same thing, then there is no difference between our country and Pakistan. Is it like that? Right. I guess we should not indulge in these things. Right. Even if you may not write, something else can be written in thinking. Suppose this example, we have just given example. It's not necessary that you will write the same example. You can write your own example. But yes, we cannot go to that level, we become so abstract. Right. Then we'll end up writing nothing. Or no, let's say that obvious aspect.
Sir, is it right to bring that aspect that our self-satisfied and we are indulging in thinking?
It is not necessary. Let's say that what happens in this, let's say that essay, suppose you think you don't have to bring a counter thesis. So then you are agreeing with this fact that thinking is always linked with opposite thing. Right. But it may not be completely true. Right. Essay is about are you giving a, let's say broader view, if not a complete view. Right. What you are trying to give your view in essay, if there is a topic, right, so you have to give a broader view of that. Are let's say complete view of that. So don't you think that complete view will bring also the other side? Right. यहाँ पे मान लो कि आप नहीं लिख रहे हो, ठीक है, लेट्स एक्सेप्ट कि ठीक है, चलेगा, राइट, बट देयर आर मेनी अदर टॉपिक्स. Although we still tell that if a broader perspective means there is antithesis. This you should understand, which you can write. Now let's say that thinking. Now philosophical, what we are trying to say that when you get a philosophical topic, so way forward, again the term way forward you do not write first. Second thing is that you just try to move towards concluding part. So in philosophy, you cannot write suggestions, how thinking should be improved. Right? You cannot write like this. Rather, you can write the relevance of thinking, you can write. How society has advanced, you can write. Right? And how thinking should be more in constructive side, you can write. That can be. How it makes society better, that can be, let's say. So thinking should be linked to that aspect rather than suggesting a set of points. Right. We don't suggest write a set of points, let's say, how we can. But when it is a non-philosophical topic, let's say justice wala topic, or a girl, let's say education related topic, there that kind of non-philosophical topics can have some in way forward, some suggested, let's say that views. Although we do not write in points the way we write points in the GS paper, 1, 2, 3, 4. Generally in essay, points are not advisable. Right. You can write the paragraph, each paragraph can be considered as a point, let's say that, and you can suggest and write in that way, and then you can write any conclusion. Right. In conclusion also, let's say there are different views. Although you can give a summary, whatever you have written, and then you can give a final view on that. Or you can altogether write a futuristic orientation in conclusion. This And that is how we can conclude that essay. This is what we can consider. Yes, people also try to end by the anecdote they started. They again try to link in conclusion. That can be also one aspect. Second aspect can be considered that people try to use some other quotations. So another set of, let's say, any other quotation which can be linking with the topic, that can be, let's say, and that is how we try to end this. Now, in entire essay, when someone reads your essay, then your essay should have the main theme, and that should be in and around thinking and opposite team. This, and it should have touch upon those some obvious aspects which we considered important. Then it can be considered as a better one. Right? If it has unnecessarily focus on some of the things, it lacks balance, that is how it will not be considered as better one. And that is how we can consider on this.
So like
Yes.
suppose in this essay, if I conclude with the statement itself, would it be correct? Because if we have already written the anti-thesis, so then it means that the statement is not entirely correct. But if I write in the conclusion that hence it is that way it does not begin.
No, again you are not understand. Try to understand. Bringing a diverse view means a counter view does not mean that we are negating it. Right. It is true that our thinking improves when we get challenges. It is true. We are not questioning it. But it is also true that our thinking also improves through self-exploration. This. But this essay is not on that aspects. Our concluding point will go along with, right, the topic only. This. Here, in this topic, we will say. Right. Let me bring, once they ask that social media is inherently selfish. Right? Topic you are familiar? Social media is inherently selfish. Now, what you will do? Will you write in support only?
But sir, like shouldn't we write an essay on the topic? I'm not talking about it. Whether to be our liberty to write against it.
Yeah, that is how essay is structured, thesis, antithesis. Otherwise, how can you counter and means in essay what you do? You give your views and counter views. Right. Essay will never be given to discuss the pros and cons of social media. Essay is always structured in such a way with a topic that it has inherent views and counter views. It is because of that.
So largely we have to support.
Yes, largely you have to go on the theme line. That we can consider. Anyhow, let's take it. Right. This will make more clear. Right. So visionary decision making happens in the intersection of intuition and logic. Right. So same thing, let's say you can start with main theme is between vision, intuition and logic. Our entire essay major portion should will be in and around this vision, intuition and logic. This and this again you can do understand this and that, etc., etc. Right. This is structuring. It is same old story. Once you know that those 6 components of essay, let's say that. Now it comes introduction. Right. Now we can start with any vision, because vision, let's say that thinking. It is a visionary thinking, it is related. So we can start any visionary thinking in introduction, that aspect. Or you can start with an introduction in which you can link the 3, intuition, logic and visionary thinking. This. So you can, let's say, create any such story in which a person may have started with intuition. Right. A child may have started with intuition about anything. He may have got an idea. Later on, let's say knowledge comes on the way. So that knowledge brings, let's say, improves his thinking, brings changes in ideas. So that kind of, let's say that in model answer, we have given one, let's say that introduction, right, in which let's say one person who is making, let's say, different types of cloths, dress basically, right. So an artisan makes dress different types of related with sports, but he does not know about the sport. He applies his intuition, but once he starts knowing about the sports more and more, then he starts designing the dress in much better way. This, so you can create any such story, you can write. But if let's say that if we generally favor to write any obvious thing, so when we can write link, this recently G20 has happened. G20 has vision, Mother Earth. This you can say that. So that way, just since it has recently happened, so we can link and start this. And that vision will be based on both aspects, our emotions, intuitions, and certain level of our knowledge, facts, information. This, so that it can be, so that way we can start when we are writing. Then this interpretation part when you go, although you don't have to explain the way it is been explained, just for a clarity we are saying. But when they are writing intuition, when they are saying logic, so this is an essay where somewhere you have to talk about them. In first one, it is not necessary to talk what is game because it is very obvious. But it becomes, let's say, intuition, logic, you have to explain a bit. Intuition, human acts as per intuition. Intuition is something, let's say, it is the faculty of sense in human which become basis for our, let's say, that acting, let's say, something we get courage of conviction type, or we get certain, let's say, that guessing type of, or a strong belief, you can say, gut feeling also it is considered. The human get a gut feeling that this can happen. Or many times people say, I am saying, right, I am saying it is going to happen. Right. People bet also. Right. The people bet also on the basis of their intuition that it can happen. Right. So something that you can write about intuition. Same thing you can write about logic. Anything that is logic. The logic is something based on facts or objective, which can be considered that it has objectivity or it has something observable phenomenon. This, so that way it can be linked. Now then you can talk about vision, let's say visionary decision making. Any visionary decision making, let's say our human, let's say visionary decision making is something extraordinary. One, we have ideas, and other, let's say extraordinary ideas. So vision, any such vision is something considered extraordinary ideas, or let's say a very good imagination or any radical imagination. Right. Although you don't have to, you should not write that way, but yes, somewhere we have to explain when we are writing. And then you can link with any such vision that we can have. Like say a government has vision that India at the rate 2047. We have linked to vision 2020, which is very obvious. Right, past one, it is also important because it will help in also writing counter thesis. Right. That way, let's say that. Yes, vision 2020. Right. Because vision का होना ही जरूरी नहीं है. Anyhow, we'll come in counter thesis. Right. Vision 2020, you're not aware. APJ Abdul Kalam. Right. This. The past vision is also there, future vision is also there. Right. So, if we have any vision document, so it's obvious to link. Right. This, so this way we can consider. So you have to link with some vision documents or some visionary aspects, decisions taken, and then you can elaborate a bit to show how it is based on intuition and logic. Like either you can take $5 trillion economy. Right. This our vision, let's say India to become a developed nation. So can we say that this has been completely calculated and then it has been brought? Means have we conducted any study, we have analyzed data, etc. Then we have decided? Yes. No, I was saying that कि suppose government has come up with this idea that कि India will become a developed nation. So can we say that कि extensive research has been done? Right. And then we have, let's say that कि decided कि by 2020, 30 we will achieve like this, 2040 will achieve like this, 2047 will achieve like that. It's not like that. Right? So there is element of guessing. There is element of common sense application. Or there is element of gut feeling. Right. That if we are progressing with this rate, so by 47 we can right become a developed nation. Right. Now when we have this gut feeling, so whether it is coming just because of certain feeling or there can be some, let's say, factual basis also. Right. So there will be some factual basis also. After all, how it has given confidence to the government. So the way we have been progressing, the progress, innovation, growth, other things are happening, and the way government is taking steps, right. The government is quite confident that we may achieve it. Right. Same thing you can say Vision 2020. Same thing you can explain by, let's say, Mother Earth. This idea. So there can be, let's say, human imagination, and that vision may happen, and it may have elements of both. Subjective elements, intuition means subjective elements, and let's say that logic means objective elements. That is how you have to write in support. Right. And then you can give other such examples, whatever. Even we take decision in day-to-day life also you can link. In day-to-day life, we take decisions which are based on both objectives also and subjective facts also. This. Once you are done with this, that is how national, international, the way people link, you can link it. Right. Then we have given some examples. We have. Yes. Elaborate one example properly. That should be your most obvious, best example. This. That will take your essay, that's the way I say that, it will take from this to a new height. Because now you have proved by that essay, by that example. So you can take any good example where it is a vision. Right? Means it should not be a doubt and it is not a vision. Right? It's better to take any vision document of the government itself. Right? Rather than any less obvious type of thing as an example and explain it. Right. Any such statement you can take. That's why we have linked it. We don't have to say it is not a vision. Right. Or let's say you don't have to. Recently it has been done. They have their vision document released. That can be, let's say that. Space sector also, let's say we have certain plans. Right. We have tried to link with the spiritual aspect also. They had also their vision of the world. A spiritual aspect, let's say that. But even the spiritual also has certain level of rationality. No. Certain aspect of rationality. That we can consider global, let's say we have tried to link with bringing a philosophy. So let's say thinkers, those philosophers, power realism versus power idealism. Right. So it will be related to Hobbes versus Mill, Hobbes versus Bentham. That we can say. Because Bentham, Kant, J.S. Mill, Mahatma Gandhi, they will all belong to this side. And let's say Hobbes, Max Weber, Kautilya, Machiavelli, they will belong to this side. They had their vision of the world, and they had their vision of the world. Right. This, and both had both aspects. Right. So that way also we can link. Right. So it will take, if you take such kind of examples like this, it establishes a very strong, let's say, that link with what the statement, what the question is demanding. Right. And that is how we can, let's say, write on this aspect.
So if we take only one example, then how we can elaborate too much if we don't have the deep knowledge of it?
Deep knowledge is not needed. देखो, you have to prove, देखो, exact intuition आपको नहीं बात करना है, exact logic नहीं बात करना है, आपको उसके in and around बात करना है. The intuition is something related to subjectivity and logic is something related to objectivity. Human decision will be having combination of both. That is how you have to relate. If you are able, because you are not supposed to be expert in that. Right? You don't have to formulate a theory on that. Right? Rather, you have just to relate it and explain it. That this much knowledge is expected, you can do that. Right? This much knowledge is expected that you can relate anyone.
If we explain that example in taking by taking all the aspects of the topic, then how the word limit?
You are not understanding. Before we start linking, try to understand what I am trying to say. Before this, first you explain it by any example. Before you start linking, right? And once you are done with explanation part with one example, then you start linking space, politics, international relation, this, right? So when you explain it before linking, it will take to a depth level. This, if you are not explaining this part and just you have started linking, so that depth will be missing, right? And read the UPSC notification. Depth of understanding, depth of analysis, originality. This, the three terms they use in their, let's say, advertisement, right? Or in paper, इस paper में भी लिखा होगा. This closely subject essay to arrange their ideas in orderly fashion and to write concisely. Credits will be given for effective and exact expression. It is on front page written. This is UPSC term, UPSC, let's say, advertisement, right? So that is how, let's say, you have to do.
Example of Gandhi sir, Gandhi left the path of Satyagraha in 1952, and because this was intuition and logic, and then the legendary decision was to launch Quit India.
Why you are trying to write?
Because Quit India movement had a logic, and then he took a visionary decision.
Try to understand why you want to write an example in which you want to say that he left his non-violence. Why you want to bring this controversy in essay? This type of example should not be written. It is unnecessarily going to create a problem. Right. Write an obvious example. Yes, less controversial, controversial. You have abundance of such examples which are neutral. And there is no doubt on that. That is how I mean to say obvious things you have to write. Right. Which are very obvious, write first. Right. This. Is it clear what we are saying? Right. And then let's comes, right. Antithesis. Can we have antithesis? Right. Intuition. Intuition is having the negative side, right? Because it is not, let's say, considered better than common sense, right? And many a time intuition may not be right. That's what we say. Similarly, logic, if you follow, the logic also, let's say, many times dehumanizes data, facts, let's say that. Whether we have written this. So, data, etc., let's say growth you follow, the growth aspect, or let's say they're becoming too much of logical aspect. Being logical, it reduces emotions, it relegates emotions. Being intuitions, it relegates facts. What is the right balance between them? Right. It is intersection. The intersection is a doctrine of mean. So what is that intersection? Right. So intersection, what exactly is that intersection? That intersection for different people may differ. Right. Can we have a very right blend of both? So many a time it has happened that we have adopted a very let's say that is subjective policy. Many a time it becomes a baseless policy. Or there is a policy failure, vision failure. Right. The visions fails many a time. Those visions may fail because of both factors. Even if you have logic also, then also it may fail. This, or if you have intuition, that may also fail. Right. But the question is not about success and failure. The question is what is that intersection? Right. So that intersection can be criticized. Right. Like say ki, although in different topic we have linked with this, here we are not trying to link. We have mathematics in that topic we are trying to link. But this is what you will find that ki here you can talk a bit of the other side of this. Right. Intersection, intuition, logic, right. And many a time when policies, government decisions or vision, let's say ki government has brought the same vision is also criticized when we talk about $5 trillion economy. So when there is a $5 trillion economy, the day Prime Minister talks about, next day you know that you found in newspaper lots of criticisms. Right. What is the difference between intuition, gut feeling and fantasy, let's say that? Figment of imagination, fiction. Right. So there can be, let's say that the flaws aspect also related to the vision when we talk. A right balance is difficult to achieve. This we can consider. That is how the counter thesis can be written a bit, right? And after that, like say that this, the Vision 2020, it was a prediction, it says that if India grew 10% plus, by 2020, India would become a developed nation. That was Vision 2020.
10 plus, can you repeat?
If India, right, means India grows by 10% plus, then by 2020 it would become a developed nation. That was the presumption under this APJ Abdul Kalam, right? Now, meanwhile, what we have done is कि growth को हमने deride किया है, jobless growth. Our growth is not a real manifestation of progress, right? So let's say even if you have a vision document, but then what does it mean? Right? Can we say if it has a right balance, it is flawless? Right? Can we say that it is achievable? Or for what we have that vision document? Our vision, let's say, what we want to be visionary, right? So there can be some flaws, and we can write a bit of the other side, right? However, let's say, as we say, we have to support it. We have to support. It gives, just as how it gives hope and optimism. You can write, let's say, in favor of those things. Why? And it, let's say, conclusion, just we are trying to say, the life is full of, we should not become too much robotic type also and too much emotional also, but life should be full of all these things. Because human behavior, human is very complex being. Human is a social animal also, political animal also, right? So human, it shows, let's say, it shows intuition or logic. It shows that the human has, let's say, that multifarious aspects. Although, let's say, our decision or our vision should be always constructive and futuristic. This you can say, which gives hope and optimism. That way you can link. Although you can prepare your own conclusion that because you write anecdotes, so you'll try to link with anecdotes. This way you can consider. Or you can end with any other vision, etc., positive side. So that way it can be considered. Then next is, yes, inspiration for creativity springs from effort to look, right, for the magical in the mundane, right. I think people, hardly anyone may have written. Whether anyone has written on this? Right, second topic. Visionary wala. What we have written examples?
It started from a cricket match commentary of finals, like T20, where Dhoni was taking Jogendra Sharma for ball in the final over. So like many would have told taking the experience rather than saying that's the logic. But the intuition part is like he took like that feeling that Joginder Sharma going to do the work for you. I started with that. And then
Yes.
I went on to the decision making of like Indira Gandhi during Bangladesh war and the Jawaharlal Nehru's foreign policy of non-alignment, which now like had made us into a Vishwamitra, like spoken by and then like even art field also I went to the art field of James Cameron, where like Titanic was a movie where usually we see a happy ending movie, but he like went against the trend with the gut feeling. But that like logically speaking, for earning more, we usually go for
Yes, basically, let's see, you are trying to link different incidents, events where intuition and logic can be, let's say that.
Antithesis, I said like not an antithesis. I meant I said in an intersection. I interpreted in such a way that, moreover, like in research, it's found out like intuition is actually, which is not explainable. It's more reliable than our logic because like it is inculcated by our like personal experience. So sometimes it might not be explainable, but most of the time intuition may work more than our logic. But sometimes the intuition may take us deviate to other
Yes, there
paths.
can be several examples in that. While writing, you can write COVID crisis also. That can be also scientific endeavors also.
Give an example for this because I went in the concluding part of 2 pages last week, so I thought like if I go more than I will exceed, like I felt like I will write too much.
Yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
I ended with saying that we should balance with the logic so that we find the intersection and we get a
Yes, but yes, acceptable. But what we are trying to say is, see, there are already some obvious things. Try to note it. When it is related to vision decision making, visionary decision making, it is obvious we can link with some vision aspects. This visionary aspects, we can say that. Second, that there can be many others. Science you are talking, nowadays we follow evidence-based policy making.
I think even linked with Chandrayaan 3 also.
Yes,
Chandrayaan 2 failed because we went so much into innovation in such a way that
yes.
we did not focus on backup plan. Whereas in
So we have to give examples where intuition has worked, logic has worked, both we need. But many a time, let's say, what is balance is difficult to achieve. This because science it does not accept intuition. Right? Science generally does not accept intuition. That we can consider. Or philosophy, literature, they are based on more rational, let's say, or intuition aspect. Right? Not empirical science, that aspect. So those things can be shown. Yes, it depends.
one thing I felt like since we're discussing, I felt like I did not like explain what is intuition. Like I did not give any meaning to like intuition. I
Yes.
interpreted with the examples like that, and I could have like given it.
Yeah, it is related to habit, let's say that. Habit pattern. Habit pattern is, do we have in our, let's say, inherent writing skill, we try to go brick by brick, addressing the things, introduction, then basics we address, then we start building our, giving the foundation to the essay, but taking from that foundation to a certain high level. That is how it comes, let's say that. So, yes, still, let's say that it can be considered whatever it is. This creativity, main thing creativity, magical and mundane, let's say that. This is the main theme. If you speak in Hindi, so it can be linked with that कीचड़ में गुलाब खिलता है. Right. Isn't it? This, in North India it is said that कीचड़ में गुलाब खिलना, right? This you can consider. Kamal. Right. Right. कीचड़ में कमल खिलना, right? This you can consider. So that way we can, let's say that, although it is not exactly that. It is not exactly that, but yes, this is how it can be linked with. So obvious thing when we say this, we have linked to Jack and Jugaad technology. Right. This. Or I think here introduction it is written, but if you, because Mangal mission that ki Mangal क्या था मूवी का नाम? Mission Mangal. The Mission Mangal has shown also that how you can use some, let's say that Jack and Jugaad type of technology, right? Those things are, let's say we have somewhere linked this making designer suits from wax, let's say that this. So our, let's say Kiran Bedi, let's say reforming Tihar jail, right? The Tihar jail, the generally, let's say prisons. So what we think about prisons? So prisons are something where we hardly find anything, any creativity and imagination. But let's say she brings creativity and imagination. So basically, let's see this essay is focusing on those aspects you have to link. When let's say we have nothing, let's say hope any, or if we know any hope is left, still some people can create hope out of that. Great. Or people can create something extraordinary from ordinary thing. This mundane is considered something ordinary. Imagination is considered, or let's say it is creativity is considered extraordinary. Right. The creativity is an innovative thing. And mundane is something, let's say, consider ordinary thing. The creativity you are trying to bring from ordinary thing. So what are those ordinary things that you can bring creativity? This. So there can be people, let's say that people living in, let's say, very slum areas. There can be people living in slum areas. They may have innovated. They may have creative thinking. They may have tried to solve those problems. We have also linked somewhere to, let's see, Grameen Bank, right? Grameen Bank, Amul model, those things if you talk in the field of economy, if you take, or self-help groups, how this Grameen Bank was innovated, right, by Muhammad Yunus, in Bangladesh, by observing poor women. The poor women, they suffer, but out of that the imagination comes. Right. An innovative idea comes by about financial system. Right. So this is how the thesis part that you can link. And let's say, right, introduction, etc.
So can we give the example of Sonam Wangchuk?
Yes, Sonam Wangchuk. But Sonam Wangchuk idea, Ladakh is not an ordinary place. See, Ladakh is an extraordinary place in itself. Still, it can be taken, right?
And also the example of Newton observing volume of apple.
Right. Yes, means it is very, let's say, yes, that can be that can be linked, right? So we can bring those aspects where things are looking ordinary, but some people by their creativity and imagination, they have made it extraordinary. That is how we have to write. So it is an essay again, let's say you have to, as we say that you should write whatever the introduction you write. In introduction, try to introduce some obvious things. Then when you write interpretations, in interpretation you write those things. I explain a bit the link between creativity, mundane aspect, inspiration that you get. Then you go on elaborating it. When you elaborate it, then you start further expanding the scope of your essay. Then what can be the antithesis, by the way? Right. Beauty lies in beholders. Right. Yes, right. So it's not always, let's say that this mundane thing, let's say that. Then creativity comes through challenge also. Already we have done those essay analysis. Right. The creativity is not only, it is coming from, let's say, creativity is not only a person is not inspired to create something new only in the context of mundane things. Rather, creativity also comes through other aspects also. Right. You have to write the other aspects also. It can be challenge also. Right. Many a time you can give, even this sports we are talking in sports itself. When they face challenge, they innovate some of the things. The bowlers, the batsmen, they may innovate. Right. Innovations, new ideas. Creativity is about new ideas. That can come through challenge also. That is how a bit of, let's say that counter thesis. Then right. we have linked, let's say, creativity thinking, let's say creative thinking. That creative thinking also demands resources, research, innovations you can consider. And they should have relevance also. Anyhow, this is how, what we are trying to show is that in counter thesis also try to think from a bit other perspective. The only thing is that its focus should be less, not let's say that, just to show. Then you can write your way forward, etc. Right. This again, it is hope, optimism. This creative thinking. The creativity brings hope and optimism in society. That way you can link and write. And then this is how you can say this. We have to not to complain. What it is showing basically. So those people who can find something new in something which is very ordinary, it is basically they are trying to look inside rather than complain. Many people who have so many things at their hand, but still they complain. And some people, those who do not have, still they try to innovate. Is it like that? So that can be, that way also we have tried to link. Means let's say way forward when we are writing or when we are trying to write conclusion, still there can be germination of some new things while writing that. Rather than just a repetition. Right.
Sir, can you give example of utilitarian philosophy?
Right.
So very mundane things to say, general lines. Then the very mass-based philosophy. Earlier, very abstract philosophies were there, but he built very normal events-based philosophy. The normal life he justified everything. Charvak philosophy becomes.
But it will become a bit complex, I guess. Right. When we start bringing the philosophical dimensions, it will make a bit complex and difficult to prove because utilitarian has a negative side also. In fact, you would see utilitarian in a negative way. It is biggest philosophy, but then we see it is in a negative way also. Right.
Biggest. He justified capitalism.
Right. But I guess in essay we should avoid this. Right. Otherwise it will become unnecessary. I guess there are already obvious examples. Right, that. Right. Then mathematics is the music of regions. That written people have written. How many people have written? No one has written. All are mathematician. Right. Yes, I guess Abhijit will take. Right. 3 topics I am not taking because basically essay here is done. So I play my role, no doubt. But Abhijit also, right. Basically he mentors, he evaluates copies. So that's why we want to, let's say, give some role to him also. Right. He will take 3 topics. This is our 5 I am taking, 3 he will take. Anyhow, so see, it is a metaphorical aspect. Mathematics, since it is technical, that's why people may not have written this essay. That's why mathematics does not always create music. Counter thesis. Right. Right. So let's say that basically you have to write mathematics and music, let's say that. And basically music is something here, it has a positive aspect, this you can say. We say that music is being considered something, let's say, which is positive for society, right? Acceptable or constructive. So we don't have to argue on music part. Basically, our, let's say that focus will be in this essay, write mathematics and show that how mathematics is a field of regions and then that how it creates music. The music is a more, let's say, subjective form. Its melody, its beauty, this is how can say. Music definition we have tried to break. The Oxford, let's say, it defines those 6 aspects of the structure. Then the same thing is structuring. Right. You can link with this pyramid, etc., because they were built mathematically. But then, let's say, how they have become symbol of great achievement, other things. This is how. So it has a subjective meaning. Oxford decides, produce beauty of form, harmony, expression of emotion. This. When we say music. So this is what we have to link. And means mathematics and let's say that regions, how it creates music. Right. So when we write its, after introduction, when we are writing its interpretation, in interpretation part, we should try to link, elaborate, right? Mathematics has a metaphorical meaning. Mathematics here does not mean only, let's say, quantitative numbers like 1, 2, 3 or its calculation. Rather, mathematics can create, if we bring mathematics in our day-to-day life, it can make our life better. Right. In fact, we have, let's say, given that I say always I give emphasis on individual because philosophical essay focus more on an individual aspect. Let's take our house. House is constructed on the basis of application of certain mathematics, isn't it? But once it is constructed, we say it home, right? And we say that it is the most beautiful place. Isn't it? If the same house is not constructed as per application of mathematics and there is some flaw in calculation, so what will happen? Right. So that is how a link we can establish. Right. So you can start from the home itself, you can start from the person aspect itself. Right. Or let's say many a time basically the mathematics should be the basis to build your answer and keep relating with this. Now since it is related to mathematics, so you can take name of some mathematicians also. It is obvious that we will take the name of some mathematicians. Yes. As we told that when you are building house, how we build house? We have calculations. Calculations would have not become possible unless we have mathematics. Can we build house by application of intuition, common sense? No. In traditional time it used to happen. Right. But still there were some guessing, let's say still certain aspect. We cannot build it. As of now, we take all those important measurements and we construct it. Once we construct the house, we say it as home. And that house takes a form. The house takes a form. And that form becomes like a beauty. No, people say beautiful house. No, when inauguration happen, people come. So what they say that? अच्छा घर बना है. This is how, isn't it? So that mathematics is creating a kind of beauty, let's say that. Right. Mathematics is basis for structure and order, and a structure and order creates harmony. Can we say? Right. You take a train, go somewhere at destination, you reach on time. When you reach on time, what happens? You feel happy. You feel happy. How you reach on time? Right.
Like Lagrangian point, we like that is why this is a proper balance point.
Yes, yeah, mathematics you can talk technical point, but let me come. Then we can start talking about mathematics, how mathematics evolve. Let's say zero, let's say that Aryabhat, etc. You can take the name, the let's say this about this earth we came to know, matter we came to know, earth is made up of matter that we came to know. Then that matter has been further explained, right, by application of mathematical things. This we can consider. So mathematics has explained, let's say that various aspects of our society, or it can explain various aspects of society. And this mathematics, right, has made our life more convenient. It has made our life better. Can we say this? That is counter thesis. Right. We can relate it. आप बुर्ज खलीफा को क्यों एंजॉय करते हैं? Proper structure, isn't it? How it is possible? Mathematics. Right. Mathematics is science of beauty. Right. एक शायद गॉस का statement है. Right. Anyhow, basically you have to logic it. You have to have the ability to logic, link mathematics with beauty, link mathematics with magic. This you can say that. Sorry, music. Even you can talk orchestra. Even music itself is based on mathematics. Right. आप piano बजा लो. Yes. Yes. It's reduced to that. Yes, that can be reduced to that. Yes, right. And then when we see as mathematics in literal sense, so it is more like quantitative, it may not give any feeling. Like if you are giving money, I am taking money. It may not give a feeling. Right. But money has a symbolic value. Right. So then let's say that, are we attach emotions with that? Right. Emotions are etc. Like you borrow money and you pay me on time. Right. So when you pay me on time, it creates value. Yes. This we can consider. That is how thesis you can build by linking these things. Right. Then you can go on. We have given example. You can write those who are some obvious things in the world that we have, or even let's see how it is possible to go on Mars, go on Moon. Let's find search of life, etc. Our Pura Pachim movies also, you know that it talks about music itself, isn't it? Right. Song in Pura Pachim movie, isn't it? Manoj Kumar. Right. Just it is about just linking and writing in that way. But then counter thesis. What antithesis can be? Right. Many times mathematics, so it is considered, we consider mathematics more in quantitative term, mechanical term, or a more complex aspect. Like mathematics, let's say generally, so it has been confined to some people, or those who are intelligent students. Right. Those who are not intelligent in mathematics, so they are considered less intelligent. This we can consider. So somehow mathematics has been linked to achievement also. This we can consider. Or intelligence also, IQ level also you can consider. This we can say this. Then post-truth word, human emotions. Right. This in today's society, emotions have become more important. Nudge theory. Let's say linking with these aspects. So the counter thesis being this, we have given post-normal science, post-modern realities, or let's say Michael Foucault, let's say that you can consider it is single C, it is error. Right. What we are trying to see is that these points, even you can write in other points also, wherever you have logic you have, reasons you have, logic you have, so there can be also counter aspects. Because many a time human emotions become more important. rather than mathematics. Or mathematics can be considered more as a complex aspect. Or many times mathematics and IQ both are linked. Those who lack IQ, let's say, they are considered less intelligent in society. This or post-normal sciences, etc. They are based on, let's say, they reject those things. There is a counter view that can be written in this, but still we'll try to focus on that, the positive side of this when we write way forward. This now here we have tried to link with truth. Right. While writing, although you can write before also, right? Truth, we say generally essence of life, or let's say how we link it, truth, how we come to know about truth. Right. Through evidence, through objective knowledge. Right. Like say justice is also based on truth. Right. Court will also pronounce its judgment on the basis of truth. And truth is nothing but gathering of evidence. Gathering of evidence involves certain quantitative aspects. Right. More the objective investigation, better the chances of getting justice. That is how truth in society, the truth can have a emotional aspect. Right. But the truth is also based on certain facts. That way mathematics can help. The mathematics has also potential to prove truth, propagate truth in society. This, that way we can say this. Anyhow, we just try to link with innovation. Right. Today's world is more about innovations. Right. This. And those innovations are based on all reasoning and logics which involve element of mathematics. Chat GPT is also based on algorithm. This you should know that. Right. So this is how we can write, right? Your point we have missed. What is right? A society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. I think all have written. Yes. So way between regions and world of imagination. This can be committed. So what we have written as charity. Now let's take that first topic and this topic. Now this topic you cannot address in finer way unless you differentiate between charity and justice. Yes.
Charity is additional help.
Right. Justice means first help.
Justice is the first step. When government fails, then the charity comes. So charity is the circle have.
Charity just addressing the symptoms. The real causes can be addressed only with justice.
Right. This, what we are trying to say, that many time explanation is not important. Try to understand. Answer is not important. Right. Understanding the topic is more important. You can read answer, you can write answer, it's not a point. Some topics may not demand exact knowledge of the terms. But some topics demand the exact knowledge of the term, otherwise you cannot do justice with the topic. This. Therefore, this is a topic you can do justice. Right? If you have clear understanding about charity and justice first. Topic is obvious, hence it is appealing that you can write. Isn't it? This you can say because it has less technicality. This, and you know about, you are familiar about charity, you are familiar about justice. This you can consider. So that's why that may have helped you to select this topic. Right. But let's take that how you may have written, what you have may written. So what let's say generally we, since it is the last topic, let's say. So you should know we have to be, let's say that our main theme will remain justice and charity. Right. And certainly there is a difference. That's why the topic has been framed. And most of the thesis part will go on that aspect. Taking them as two different. Right, charity does not bring justice. This is what we have to prove. Isn't it? You'll have to prove in your essay that charity does not bring justice. Isn't like? It is not like that.
A society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity.
Yes.
Therefore, justice to counter that, we have charity. And like that, it's a balancing. That's what we
For example, in India, if social equality prevail more, then so we need less midday meal like schemes. So because if we establish our economic social stability,
Yes.
so we will not need such level of charity by the state.
Yes, let's go one by one. This is the last topic, else let me go one by one to make it order. Right. See, obvious. I always believe in obvious things. Writing obvious answers, writing obvious content, writing obvious examples, obvious facts. Right. Because if you are writing obvious things, you will write all those well-connected things. And you should be aware about all those obvious things. Because there are some fundamental things which one should be obvious. At first sight क्या आता है हमारे माइंड में, वो आना चाहिए आंसर. राइट. तो अगर कोई बोलता है कि चैरिटी मीन्स सोसाइटी इज दिस टॉपिक सेज, देख सोसाइटी हैज राइट that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. So at first place हम क्या, what examples we can, what reference we can give that can prove it? No, देखो climate justice एक थोड़ा sectoral चीज हो गया. Developed countries have less charity. Less charity activities. Developing countries have more charity activities. Can we say? Yes. So it means that they may have high incidence of justice. Right. This you can say. So that way, see, we should try to link with that example which can make it clear. This. So basically, the topic is saying that a society which seems to be just, or a society where people have sense of justice or there is justice, in that society there is less incidence of charity, which has even connotation ki less and less governments, programs and schemes also, including freebies and populism. Although in literal sense charity is not indicating towards that, but somehow it has the connotation like this. So that way we can consider it. Now you can start with any this story etc. whatever.
Okay, started with an NCRB data where women gets raped in India for every 15 minutes. But in the contrary, we have the country with the most supporting legislations for women is India. So it is a charity for the injustice which is there in India. Whereas in Norway, where you have less justice for women, there is very less charity. Where there is more justice in this. So then I stated, whereas society needs more.
And the rate of rape in Norway per 1,000 women is greater than the rate of the same women reservations are taken in today we are very women reservation system in parliament because we were not able to achieve our constitution mandate. So if we earlier achieved this constitution mandate that we achieve the justice in society, so today we do not require.
Yes, anyhow, let me explain. Let's explain what we have to tell. Basically, you need to explain in this. Charity. Basically, charity is an ad hoc help, one-time help that we consider. If you go exact meaning of charity, so we give one-time help, we can show compassion, sympathy. It can be cash, kind, whatever. This, which let's say that religion largely practices. Religious occasion comes, longer is held, Bandara is held. Can find this. Or let's say on roadside, people, many such, let's say that religious organizations and trusts, they, let's say, give food, etc., free to people. That way we can say that charity. Right. Justice, justice is something more institutionalized. It is act of fairness, etc. That you can say. Example, let's say charity in India. This is how we are trying to say that. Even if we have charitable, all religions are charitable, let's say, but still, let's say, untouchability remains. Discrimination remains. Right. This you can say that. So that way also we can start when we are writing. Then you go and detail in, let's say that what we are trying to say, this detailed explanation. How will explain and build your essay? When you talk about charity, when you talk about justice, so you have to explain first charity, practice of charity, how it is practiced in different society, charity, and how charity may not necessarily bring justice. This, and you can give some examples. Then you have to talk on justice. What is justice? Right, and when justice comes, the justice talk comes, so John Rawls necessarily comes. This you can say that. Because he talks about theory of justice. And it is a contemporary theory, which is very popular. So, and then when you talk justice, John Rawls, so you will talk also Amartya Sen also. Right, capability aspect. We try to relate. Right. Because then you have to show that how, let's say, justice is different from charity. And how people get justice. And what does it mean when we say justice? Right. So, justice is something, no doubt, fairness. But what does it mean by fairness? Right. Fairness means what? So, fairness means whether society is fair to me. Right. So this, whether, let's say, job organization is fair to me. This, whether I am able to live life as per my choice. This, the people have a sense of deprivation. That sense of deprivation is sense of injustice. Poverty itself is considered injustice. Right. So basically, it is trying to, so you have to link with those aspects related to justice and those all vulnerable sections of the society. Why vulnerable sections of the society? Even if they get charity, lots of philanthropy, lots of social welfare schemes, still why they have a feeling of sense of deprivation and sense of injustice? Because they are not able to live a meaningful life. This. And to write meaningful life, you have to take the help of capability approach. This. In fact, when philosophical essay you write, the philosophical essay, although here we have not brought, since our focus remain, philosophical essay brings Kautilya, Machiavelli, Aristotle, this, that, or even J.S. Mill, Bentham, those aspects, let's say that. And when you talk social justice, the social justice related, let's say, necessarily Amartya Sen and John Rawls, they may necessarily come in your talk. Because you cannot talk on social justice, women, girl, whatever you have, unless you talk about them. Right. This. Another thing is that every year in that 8 topics that they have, in 8 topics, they do have education related topic. So let's say society related topic, girl or women related topic. This, so that's why when you should read, as far as reading aspect is concerned related to essay, so you should read some philosophies, so to address philosophical aspect, and you should read, let's say that is society related, some, let's say, thinkers like John Rawls, Amartya Sen, etc., so that you can bring a bit of that technicality here now. In that essay, we told avoid technicality, right? Here we are talking to bring an element of technicality because it is talking the difference between charity and justice. This, and without that, it would be difficult to prove. Now, once you talk about this, justice, right? So, justice means a person is able to live life of his choice. Charity will not address this. Charity will not give a person a life to live life of his choice. This. Even if he is getting free food, free education, free health, but still let's say it may not help him. That is how Amartya Sen says that it may make the person functional. Right? Functional, not empowered. This. And that's why it is important that the society should endeavor, a state should endeavor to achieve justice, not promote charity. Right. And that charity means, let's say, we should not focus having so many schemes and programs, socioeconomic schemes and programs and populist, all these programs, etc. Rather, to promote justice, you have to address the structural problem in society. Right? Unless we address the structural problem, developing countries are not able to address the structural problem. Rather, they are giving more and more charity, like say welfare schemes. Right? It seems that they are doing more charity rather than addressing the structural problems. Right? Although it is not a class to tell that structural problem, but generally it means like this. Structural problem, generally we say that. Recently you may have heard about 6. Right. One more. How many secretaries are women and how many secretaries are from OBC? Although we don't want to bring this OBC general etc. debate. This 3. Right. But it is not a debate related to, don't take it caste, etc. We are trying to talk about justice. Right. Largely, let's say they let's say suffered. Right. What we have done, what we are trying to address it. Right. So we are trying to address these things, right, by let's say schemes and programs. Schemes and programs. This, or let's say other helps that we give, or this populist policies that we have. But are they addressing the structural problem? They are not addressing the structural problem. Right. Why it is not addressing? Let's say that education. Where they will send their children? Government schools. That are also, let's say, those who are poor. Even in this also, let's say, those who are poor. Right. But since their proportion is less, so that is how we generally do not count. Although this question is not about this caste, that caste, it is general question. Justice as in general, let's say that. But ultimately we'll reduce our talk to, let's say, women, children, aged, widows, or let's say that scheduled caste, Dalits, etc. This is how we'll give examples. Yes, so we may end up in that way. So basically when we have this education, which let's say that in this education, we have let's say that schooling. And this is schooling, then you can have, let's say, graduation. Then higher education or let's say R&D. But at a schooling level, private sector is strong. At graduation level, government sector is strong. Right. As we say generally, they will go here. Those who are studying in private sector, they will go in government at graduation level. This. And those who are studying here, let's say these all, let's say poor fellows in government schools, they will not go there here. Right. This is the structural problem. This is how the justice they are talking. Right. So those who are studying in government schools, the poor fellows, they will every day will feel sense of injustice. Even if you are giving midday meal free education, but they observe that others are going in a better school. Their parents also know that their children are not going in a good school. Others' children are going in a better school. They will also have a sense of deprivation. Right? So that is how this we can bring. That's why bringing Amartya Sen or bringing John Rawls here becomes important. Right? And that way we can talk, we can relate. This is how Western countries. Now how Western countries you can say are the countries which can, let's say Japanese society. The Japanese society is egalitarian society. This our Western society, there will be less that kind of difference. Because there you do not have this kind of system. All the schools are of almost same, more or less same quality. This. So that is what we have to prove, that justice when we are trying to deliver, then we may not necessarily need more and more policies, more and more programs, or we do not necessarily need a society which do lots of charitable activities, like the way in our country happens on various festive occasions, or in general we have lots of charitable activities. Still we can say that a huge number of people suffer and they have a sense of injustice. That is the favor point. Then can we have antithesis? This is how we have tried to link development as freedom. Justice is more taken as freedom rather than, let's say, just merely getting. That can be linked. Then right. Charity has also inherent positive nature. Right. Yes. Yes, right. So even let's say we cannot completely eliminate it. First, many a time people do out of act of voluntariness. Right. People do it. Even in Western society, you can find 1-2 videos where there is a rich person in disguise and he helps one old person. Right. There is an old person in disguise, he is, let's say, that rich person, and he is somehow, let's say, in need, helpless. The young person comes and helps him. Now the old person, let's say that he takes that whatever the money and he gives it to another needy person. The young person is observing his behavior. Then he is a bit, let's say, surprised by this person behavior. He further interacts with him. He says, no, I have enough. Then again the person, let's say, he gives help to another person. Then the young person goes and asks to his mother, I met this person, a fellow I met, and he was like this. Then his mother shares the story, how he was born and how, let's say, his father left, right, when she was pregnant, so his father left. And then she was in need of money and a person had helped. Somehow they have a gut feeling that the person may be the same. Right. In tuition में भी आ जाएगा example. Right. Now when she goes, she finds that it is the same person. Right. Anyhow, the question is that even in Western countries also, any society needs charity. Charity has a human approach. It is considered also, we consider it as also our duty. The people are not trying to just help someone, rather the people consider it as a duty. Right. So it is taken as a duty. And as a duty, it has nothing to do with justice. Right. Charity is a societal construct. We have written one sentence, let's say that. Justice is a state construct. Justice to be achieved by the state. Right. And society has to, let's say, do charity work, let's say that. Even if there is a justice, still we can have charity. Right. Because this is how it is as a human duty. First, second, we may not be able to achieve perfect justice. Right. Society can never achieve perfect justice. We need charity. Right. That way, although let's say towards end, you should talk on justice. And this is a question where you can talk how all across the world there is effort to promote justice, right? Policies, etc., social justice. That also you can give emphasis, and further you can conclude. That can be. By the way, yes, what you have written further? Yes.
Then I've explained the different aspects of justice, and then I've related charity to each aspect. So, for example, justice has social, political, and economic aspect. So I've explained
Yes,
charity.
polity wala let's.
Economic justice, social justice.
So I've also related charity to these. So how charity is done in these three sectors. So how charity actually works in these sectors when justice is not done. So charity actually covers for justice where society has failed.
Yes.
I've also explained the veil of ignorance of
Yes, ठीक है. I bypass this, ignore it. जो जिसको पता है वो लिख सकता है. Philosophical, because how to know what is justice. John Rawls talks about veil of ignorance. Right. So that veil of ignorance, reflective equilibrium, these things, let's say, results into. Right. Yes, that can be also related. Yes. But we don't have to maintain a balance between charity and justice is of higher order. This you can say. Charity is not of higher order. And charity is more at individual level. Justice is more at state level. It is a larger good of the society. This
the government because it
not needed because it is essay is not related to a particular government.
mention the preamble.
Preamble लिख सकते हैं but criticism नहीं लिख सकते हैं. इसलिए कि essays are not related to a particular government. So we generally do not write criticism that. Yes.
Sir, in this essay, I did not start with the story or anything. I started by highlighting the importance of justice. Quoting John.
Yes. I have. I think it may be your copy. I have read that. Right.
Rawls.
Yes. He gave a statement: justice and truth.
Yeah. Justice.
Yes. We have asked in ethics paper that. Right.
Sir, for like in UPSC perspective, especially with respect to marks, I'm asking how many pages should we write for an essay? Like, is there anything like that?
Depend on the right.
See, pages are not important basically in essay. Right. Healthy range, they say 1,000 around. This you can say that. So you can keep your essay 1,000 around. This.
So they count the words or like they count the pages?
No, pages are not count. Words are counted.
They count the words.
Words. Because some people write less words. No? Some people write more words in one page. This. So, if you write less word, it's better that you increase the font size a bit. It should not be below, let's say, average or normal. It should not be abnormal. Some people are happy to write, let's say, again, let's say, big so that it results into less word. But in essay paper, basically, psychology also does not work. You have written more pages, the more marks. Right, essay is altogether different thing. Right, if you have followed the theme, if you are coherent, you are connected, right, and you are able to, let's say, argue by bringing some ideas, the way we are trying to link some of the things. Let's say I just this way say that society is to achieve charity, or charity is a more social contract, justice is a more state construct. These are some ideas that you bring, right? So, are we say development as freedom, or the way, let's say, you are trying to link political, social, etc. that way. So, essay demands more, let's say, your ideas, right? Your own original ideas. Once your essay is read, so there is a distinctive quality in that essay. That is more important than number of pages. Yes, in GS paper, psychology works. Right. If you are writing 1.5 page, even if irrelevant, तो marks मिलेगा. And you are writing 1 page, even irrelevant, marks कम हो जाएगा. Means both answers are irrelevant. But if 1.5 page you have written, So numerically it will be let's say that better than the first one. So that we can say.
Any headings? Is there any necessary that we should write? We can be writing essay without any heading and directly.
Yes. Now people write headings also, but headings are not needed to write. Basically, uh, people write for its connectivity, but then it breaks connectivity. Suppose you write a paragraph, right? Then you put a heading here, then again write a paragraph. So this connectivity is broken. This rather you use some, let's say that grammatical, grammars, adverbs, etc. That we say that. No?
Firstly, secondly.
Yes, firstly, secondly, moreover, in addition to, on the one hand, on the other hand, so many things, right? So these things will keep you absorbed. Let's say it will keep examiner connected. Yes, connected. Having said that, having expressed that, this. So these things keep the let's say examiner once he has started reading it, he will be absorbed in your the way you are writing. So those things are considered the let's say better part.
So regarding
Yes.
like are you in the first page as rough to that time?
No. First page should not be used for rough. Rather last page. Yes.
What between that obvious thing and technical things? You said writing the obvious things first and then technical things should be avoided.
Yes.
Go deep into technical.
It is based on first experience. Second that ki demand. Let's say that ki we don't have n number of pages to prove ourselves. Right. So we have whatever the limited number of pages to prove ourselves. So suppose let's say ki you are not writing those obvious things. No? So human is having this natural tendency to look first obvious things. Suppose you are going to someone's home. The obvious thing is that ki a glass of water. Right. Obvious thing is a glass of water. ये नहीं कि वो आपको let's say that कि some odd things will be brought. Right. This very natural. So sorry to say that. So similarly, when you are writing any essay, like say theory of justice you are writing, charity you are writing. The charity necessarily will bring religion. Because charity is strongly linked with religion. And justice you are writing, it will necessarily bring this Amartya Sen or John Rawls. Now how you will know? Knowledge. Right. That's why, let's say, by the time you write essay, you reach to mains examination, so you do have these knowledge you will have. You will reach to that level. You will know Amartya Sen, you will know John Rawls if you are not knowing now. Right. Or you know normative I have brought in one essay, normative versus this power realism versus power idealism. This. So links are examples. I told vision, let's say that when a topic is related to vision, the vision documents bring. This is how we mean by obvious aspect. Right. So it will make your essay also well connected. Right. Connected. And write the, let's say that clear example. Like say climate justice you are writing, it is sectoral thing. And climate justice is just emerging, let's say. It is an emerging thing and it is sectoral thing which is a bit controversial also. This are mathematics etc. that you are saying. So it is experience which teaches you, knowledge that teaches you. That way you learn it. Right. So we'll finish it and
How often we should practice part?
right. As of now, if you are appearing for prelims next year, you have not practiced enough. You have just started writing, so you should write 15, 20 days, one essay you should write. That should be the way to write, right? So Vijit will come, and I think 3 topics will take. You can wait.
IT Lukmaan के उसको थोड़ी देर पहले आते हैं।
प्रिंट दिखाई दे दो ये ले लीजिए
ओके सर,
करवा देंगे तुम आप वाला प्रिंट कर दो
करते हैं ना। Good evening, everyone. Okay, so rest of the 3 topics will be taken by me, and for the uninitiated, I'm Abhijit Nirjaja. So basically, I will be your main evaluator for the SATS series, and I will be the person who will be responsible for mentoring for the SATS series. Now, you see that we have 3 questions left. You know that. Okay, so the first question is, not all who vendors are lost. So what is the meaning of this question? What do you understand by this question? Just give me 1 or 2 meaning of it.
People have ups and downs in their life and they struggle and somewhere they reach.
Okay, fine.
yes people fail many a times but after number of time people get up
Okay.
Like honestly, I mentioned not all who want are lost. It's about exploration. There can be self-exploration. There are many aspects, but it's about exploration. Not all means like there are some who get lost, but not all of them they do. So the main aspect is like when you explore, it's not that like you will find you will get a diamond.
Okay, so largely we can see that there are 2 components to it. What is wanderer first of all? We have to understand the meaning of wanderer and so someone whose path or direction is not fixed. Okay, so probably if we try to analyze this thing, then we will see the concept of digital nomads. How many of you are aware with the term called digital nomads? And how many of you are aware that a country called Tunisia have offered the citizenship to digital nomads? Citizenship to, if somebody wants to visit this place, then they can get this citizenship if they are digital nomads. See, for the purpose of it, if we try to explore the word wandering or wandering, then you see who does not ascribe by the fixed morality of the society or fixed structure of the society can be called wanderer, isn't it? For the purpose of it, why there are so many blank spaces? Where are you wandering at? Okay, so you see that if we will try to find the meaning of wanderer, then you see here are the 2 things: wandering versus being lost. So someone who is just wandering on the outskirts, like Lord Buddha. Buddha was a wanderer. But can we say that he never had the path in the mind or where he wanted to go, that he don't have any kind of fixed kind of thing? At the face of it, we can see them as a vagabond. Okay, at the face of it, we can see them the people who, generally, particularly in United States or where the developed country, people are vagabond, people are homeless. They just wander around the road and trying to find the meaning. They eat what we throw at them. Yet, in fact, in the initial years, Steve Jobs has written that he used to be a wanderer. He wandered at a lot of places from ISKCON temple to Himalaya. So what was the purpose of such wandering?
And if there is such vending, can we see path in that? Can we see that there is inherent component of curiosity? Because the moment you will be vending, you will be questioning the already established principles. Isn't it? It was vending by Rajaji which led to the development of capitalism. नहीं समझे? Okay. It was vending by Dhirubhai Ambani, which created the conditions for LPG era in India. Nahin? So something we are relating vending here with the rule breaking. See, if you have read the history, there was a party called Swatantrata Party by Rajaji, which emphasized upon the capitalistic structure. पता तो होगा आप लोगों को 1962. So they went against Indira Gandhi and they said that the license Raj should be done away with. So all the capitals started supporting Rajaji party. है ना? So all the capitalists started supporting C. Rajaji party and resultantly Indira Gandhi banned all kind of political donations. So when the political party never had the money, so they started resorting to the criminal politics, Bahubali kind of politics, strongman politics. So you see that kind of vending. See, I'm just giving you the metaphor. Okay. So vending also has two kind of objection. Here one, what is constructive vending and what is vending without a purpose, just to offset the other part. In the second case, where the tendency towards the criminalization of Indian politics started, it was vending by the Indira Gandhi which resulted in a system. And in the first place, like Dhirubhai Ambani, he just broke the law. He became innovative with the kind of, say, probably after 13 or 14 years, Arun Shourie has told that, reckoned that Dhirubhai Ambani was the first liberator of Indian economy. So maybe what is vending right now can be considered as something unique or something heroic after some point of time. So in this context, if we will see that here, vending versus being lost is different. Being lost is that you don't have any kind of value. Being lost is that you are not introspecting. You are just going with the flow. Okay. So exploration versus destination. The second part we can see this in this case. See, in this case of exploration is what? That for every twist and turns of wandering, you find something new. There is a tendency that you will find something new. Examples? Huh? Anything. See, it was the wandering by the Columbus, Vasco da Gama, which resulted in the exploration. Okay. So, and even in course of life, say for example, X-ray, all the things where we can say that there is an element of serendipity, there is a chance finding. Okay. And probably even if we, try to find, if we try to keep introspecting within ourselves, there is a possibility that we are enjoying the journey. See, it is, though the course direction, like most of the people are going to US to join the job, and after they do something, or they learn the tricks and trades and they do some startup. So they are learning from the journey. So another perspective to understand the topic is that, how we are learning from the journey. Journey is more important than destination. Okay. So, third part, external judgment versus internal journey. ये clear है सबको? See, external judgment, probably we take a vendor in some kind of a pejorative meaning. We don't attribute, we don't designate much meaning to the vendor. We just think that somebody is a vendor and is not doing good in his life. Why? Because we are conformist. We don't want to go beyond the mandate of the society. We designate terms, pejorative terms like pagal hai. ठीक है, कुछ नहीं होगा इसका. स्टार्टअप खोलेंगे, है ना? आप यहां से भी तो रिलेट कर सकते हो. ऑल द कल्चर ऑफ स्टार्टअप इज द कल्चर ऑफ रिस्क, and risk will not come without vendoring. Just read the story of Ola, Uber, or for that matter any of the company. You will see that in the initial phases they vendored a lot in the rural hinterland of Bangalore or in the streets of Delhi, because they never had the clear insight. They just worked on a hunch. They worked on an intuition that maybe sometimes in the future. Just see it in this way. What would happen to Ola, or for that matter all the startups, if Jio hadn't made the internet free for maybe 6 or 7 months, whatever was the period? कहाँ पहुंचा होता? What would happen to the whole shimara of demonetization and the digital money अगर demonetization नहीं आया होता? So you see that sometimes in the vendoring, the process of vendoring, we find something which we were not intending for. So the digital money or the reliance or the resilience of the Indian currency is focused upon that, we have this increasing tax broad base. We have increased the broad base of the taxes in India. So how and why it happened? We have to analyze it in this way. Okay, so this is the part. This is some kind of paradoxes. If you are able to identify the paradoxes, you will not face any difficulty in writing the essay, because you will have a lot of argument to write. Otherwise, what you will do is you will keep writing the examples from political, social, or they are pastel perspectives. Okay, so it is always better, it is always in your interest, if you want to score very high in the essay, to find the arguments, not the example. Just don't justify the topic using the example. Try to build a narrative only on the basis of arguments, which we will understand eventually. Okay, now, exploration is not synonymous with being astray. We have already discussed that sometimes vendoring is a deliberate quest for knowledge and growth. So all these meanings has to be understood. A free spirit is not bound by convention, and vendoring can be a form of liberation from societal norms. कोई एग्जाम्पल है आप लोगों के पास में? बुद्धा, एंड मोर रिसेंट एग्जाम्पल, आप लोगों ने इतना सारा पढ़ा हुआ है. बहुत सारे examples. See, this is the beauty of it, na? That once you will find the argument, there are so many examples to justify it. There are many examples. J.K. Rowling, Kiran Majumdar, Shaw, Chanda Kochar, everyone, Okay, however, Chanda Kochar is a fall from grace, so we will avoid the exam naming the Chanda Kochar, Jack Ma, such people, because right now they are not famous. Okay, now, if we understand the value of journey itself over the destination, every turn has intrinsic worth. What is the meaning of it? Or it has some intangible benefits which we cannot be shown for, which cannot be accounted for. But in this whole process, we create a trend towards self-discovery, and we understand our weakness. So that is the next point, that it captures the essence of self-discovery through experiences, irrespective of whether they deem right or wrong by others, okay, or outsiders. So this is one of the most important part about the vendoring, the process of vendoring. Now, true growth often requires us to step out of our comfort zone. Another argument, because the moment you will be vendoring, you will be being innovative and you will be going against the mandate of the society. Okay, so the lines draw a distinction between physical movement and spiritual or intellectual growth, which comes with a set of directions or path. Clear? Fourth point, subjective nature of purpose and direction. What seems like vendoring to one might be deliberate journey to another. Ye clear hai? See, this is not tough. That's why I wrote it in this way. The idea resonates with the notion that life is not always about reaching a destination, but about learning and growing along the way. So we are not just, attributing any much meaning to destination. Rather, we are designating or trying to understand the path and the values learned in this path. Values can be manifold. जितनी एथिक्स में पढ़े आप सब डाल लेना इसमें इधर उधर करके, ठीक है. नाउ कहां पे यूज है एडवेंचरर, थिंकर, ड्रीमर एंड ऑल दोज हु डेयर टू venture off the beaten path. How many of you have done trekking or mountaineering or something like that? No? Okay, just think about it. You know that there was a person called Steve Mallory. जानते कोई? Steve Mallory. Okay. Edmund Hillary. Who was Edmund Hillary? First one to scale the mountain. है ना? Everest, Mount Everest. So, but you will be surprised to know that there is a big controversy that who is the first person to reach the peak of the or reach the summit of Everest. Some say that it is Steve Mallory. So, because the moment he died sometime in 1943, and his body was found in 2011 or 2008, I don't remember exactly. So, when the body was found at nearly 70 meters from the peak. So when questions was asked by Steve Mallory and such other people that why there is a need to pick up or scale the mountain, and see, just try to relate this logic to why there is a need to carry the DSLR to the mountains or learn the guitar, or for that matter anything which can be classified as following the passion today. नहीं समझे? Because everybody nowadays has a passion. नहीं पढ़ना नहीं है, passion follow करना है, ठीक है. So what is the reason about following the passion? Or sometimes it in itself becomes a kind of mandate that no, we have got the job, now we have to follow the passion and then we have to go to the mountain. Okay, so coming back to our point, you see in this journey, in this whole journey, adventure, be adventure sport or be trekking up with any kind of activity. So we see, and there's a one person, probably most of you will be knowing him, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. कौन है? Huh? Author, and he's a very famous person. I believe that he got the Nobel Prize also. So for 43 years of his life, he lived in the jungles of Colombia alone. 43 years of his life. There was only one shack without any, this all the facilities. He used to live in that shack. So you see, the process is that sometimes when you walk alone, you introspect. You learn from your mistake. You improvise upon your mistake. How many of you understand there is a word called hustle? है ना? आज की डेट में बहुत चल रहा है, हसल करना है, हसल करना है. क्या होता है हसल? See, hustle is something that when you change your course, okay, even during the startup journey, when you change your course, okay, or for that matter in any journey, you suddenly change your course because you have to survive. It was the survival instinct by the humans which forced them out of Africa. So they hustled at that time. How? So see, this is what I am trying to do is just to show you how to write the essay, how to connect anything, however weird, to the topic. Okay, so this is the purpose that then the moment you will understand that anything can be written in the essay, provided if it is in consonance with the demand of the topic, you are doing good. Why? Because you are writing it organically, you are writing it emotionally. You are not going into a mechanical and jargonized essay where you just generally try to only identify the political, social and such kind of dimensions. Okay, so it is always better to write an emotional essay, an organic essay.
So the arguments you are saying more than going for the test method, we should give an argument
and support it with the pastel examples.
Examples.
Huh.
Okay, so does the argument, like, is the argument better if they quote from someone, or can we give our own arguments?
See, if you are quoting from someone and if it is in the flow, then that's good. But if suddenly in this topic you say Gandhi, you started with the Gandhi that he wandered around the India, okay, without any context. See, what the purpose of any quote is what? Let's say probably.
Since like my argument, I'm taking support from others, like any, like, who have done research. Like,
That's fine. That's fine. There is no
that
problem.
is better, or like I can give my own, like, arguments, like this, that thing, that would be, which one would be better?
See, if your argument is making sense, then that would be really better because you are writing in your own language. And as such, it will not be your argument. It will be the argument you read somewhere here and there, and you are just, converge it, integrate into one, and it will be more organic. So that would be more better approach.
That would be creating, like, in marks perspective, it would be better. Right?
Yes, it would be in the range of something around 130, 140s. So that is naturally better. Just read the somebody's essay, who scored 149 this year. So there was no references to pastel method and such kind of thing. It was written in a very organic way, very contemporarized way, and very emotional way. Gautam Vivekanand, they forms. Okay. Now, vendoring can be conscious choice. Understood? A choice to explore, understand, and embrace the world in its entirety. Okay. So you see, now this is the phrase antithesis. These are the antitheses, but one of the most important thing which I remember is that you see that in pursuit of direction or in pursuit of the journey, sometimes we tend to forget the direction. So is it right or wrong? Sometimes it happens that we completely forgot the directions and just we go with the flow, which is what is happening and which is the reason for the rise of polarization or populism in India. That what is the larger pursuit? We are not just giving any attention to it. How we are benefiting from this thing in our journey, in our short term, is leading to the rise of polarization and populism, both. So you are relating something with the contemporary aspect. More importantly, you just start wondering, but you don't have any about the paths, the idea about the paths of the journey. Say, for example, there is a very famous statement by Lincoln that compass points to true north. Generally, a compass points to true north. But what is the benefit of knowing true north when we don't know about the swamps or the jungles or anything which can hinder our path? So, there is no point of knowing true north. So, there is no point of having compass. This was the statement by Lincoln. You can search it. So, the thing is that what is the idea of vendoring if we don't know our purpose or why we started vendoring? Most of the people are alienated, and at some point, after securing the basic needs, they move towards the self-actualization. Self-actualization समझते हैं आप? Maslow hierarchy है ना? तो जब तक बेसिक्स पूरे ही नहीं होंगे तब तक फिर वेंडर करके क्या ही करोगे? If the contemporary parlance is drawn, then you see that both Mahavira and Buddha left their house somewhere in 29 and 30 at the age which UPSC attempts are over. Okay, so you see that after your attempts are over, there are two ways to it. Either you start wondering or you start doing something constructive. So if there is maturity and morality in the wondering, then you will succeed. But if it is immature and astray, then what's the point of it? So this is what it is written in antithesis, that while wondering can be enriching, it might also lead to the lack of stability or grounding in one's life. Okay, so there are four antitheses. Any of the antitheses can be written. What strikes you is more important, and build a narrative around it. And how to write the way forward, embrace vendoring as a form of intentional exploration, setting personal benchmarks, waypoints. What is this? That probably if I will achieve this, उसके बाद मैं दूसरा अपने काम करना शुरू करूंगा, फिर कभी जरूरत पड़ेगी तो फिर ढूंढेंगे. This is the idea. Now, moving to the next topic, girls are weighed down by restrictions, boys with demand, two equally harmful disciplines. Why this is the why this topic was asked, you can naturally understand it. But the thing is that this and the next topic I'm going to take is completely evidence-based topic, isn't it? So what's the point of writing philosophy in this? So you have to support your argument with the evidences, that what is the glass ceiling, what is the mental status of boys in India. बहुत सारी मूवीज भी बनी है अभी रिसेंटली, देखा होगा आप लोगों ने. बाला, वो बाल वाला आयुष्मान खुराना बाला, एंड जिसमें वो कि भाई हम सोसाइटल पर्सपेक्टिव पे क्यों चले. तो इस टाइप से एंड फर्दर देयर इज अ राइज ऑफ एंटी फेमिनिज्म मूवमेंट ऑल अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड. व्हाट इज द रीजन फॉर डिमांड? द सुसाइडल रेट इन बॉयज in Kota or anywhere where the people commit suicide. So we have to understand the idea. So what is the conflicting ideas in this is freedom and constraint. Just consider a metaphor whereby a bird which can fly high, which can soar high in the sky, is bonded in chains at one side, and on the other side consider a boy who is a climber. But what if the height of mountain keeps increasing? समझ रहे हैं आप मेटाफर क्या है? This topic was dry. You created some hook which will force the examiner to read your topic. So in place of writing anecdote in any essay, try to reserve this kind of thing for the essay which is dry in nature. And write the anecdote in an emotional way, so that examiner will be forced to read your essay. So this was the idea. That protection versus limitation. Sometimes it is often said that we are doing it for protecting the girl. But isn't it limiting the whole thing? We are protecting, we are trying to secure your future if you will go for engineering. This is the line. और अभी पढ़ लो, बाद में तो फिर आराम ही करना है ना. We are trying to protect your future. But ultimately, it has become restrictive or limiting, because you are not, you are not just wondering and you are not being curious. You are doing it in a very mechanical way. And after that, the demands keeps on increasing. That's why the height of the mountain metaphor. Are you able to relate it? No. Third, restrictions versus demand and passivity versus activity. Passivity, वो आपने गांधीयन स्टेटमेंट अगर पढ़ा होगा तो आपको याद ही होगा, गांधी वर्सेस अंबेडकर डिबेट या गांधी का जो ओवरऑल इंप्रेशन था स्त्रीयता को लेके. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Striyata. That Stri should be like Sita. Stri should not actively participate in freedom movement, and when they participate, they should be restricted to the roles of caregivers, nurses, who tended the injured. This was the role, largely, which was identified by the Gandhi for the national movement. नहीं, confusion है? नहीं, मैं राइट विंग का नहीं हूं, टेंशन मत लो. Okay, so you see that all this, the notion of striyata was there, that women should be like Sita, and all the movements were for the national movements in which the rights of the women were talked about. It was largely within the question of nation, not about the question of women. So whenever some questions were raised about the womanhood or the questions of women, it was negated in favor of national movement. Okay, so this is the topic where you have to support it by many evidences. So societal expectations confine individual within gender roles with each gender facing its unique sets of challenge. And here, the important part of the perspective is to understand that, we should focus upon who he is rather than who he wants to be. This is the essence of the question. I think it is written somewhere here. The statement champions the idea of allowing individuals to define their identities free from gender-based expectations. So this is the idea about the topic. And this is the line which you will carry to the way forward. That we should teach our children to accept what they are rather than what we want them to be. And this is the reason, because in India, a child is also a boy child, a young male is also a victim of patriarchy as the women are victim of patriarchy. Okay, so this is the idea where you have to support it by the examples of the glass ceiling, participation in STEMs and various evidences. Okay, in this there is no scope for philosophical deliberation. Yet if you are able to identify something, then that would be really good. So what is the counterpoint? That should we abide by one homogenized notion of gender? See, in this case, in case of, West, the equality is very important. But if this equality, if the principle of this equality is applied to India, or for that matter any developing country, then there can be distortions in the society. This is why the government right now is opposing the notion of marital rape. Because what happens in the family is generally not known. But suppose this trend continues, what can be the implications? What will be the implication? Bataiye. What will see? This is the last line. Now you have to identify the implication. Two equally harmful disciplines. What will be the implications? And with what you will relate it?
Follow the same pattern, not change, bring initial thought to reform this.
Mental health, most importantly. Emotional restraint. The issue of emotional restraint in both the cases. The increasing divorce rate. The increasing violence against the woman. All these are consequences of this trend only. What if we'll keep someone on pursuing the demands that you have to meet the demands, you have to be provider, you have to be the facilitator of everything. There must be some threshold, there must be some breaking point. Particularly, we can talk about that. Now, in case of women, you see the divorce rate has increased in Kerala by 370%, in Gujarat by 200%, and in Punjab by nearly 140%. In one last decade. So you see that there is a difference in the field view and what is exactly, what constitution says and what exactly is happening on the ground. They are said that women are equal to men and in the family they are subservient. So this creates a tendency of conflict in the family itself. बाकी जीडीपी वाला डेटा आपको पता ही है कि 27 इट विल इंक्रीज बाय 27%. तो जो बाकी क्लीशे डेटा है आप वो यूज करो. जितने एविडेंसेस आपके पास में है, चाहे वो पॉलिटिकल पार्टिसिपेशन से हो, इकोनॉमिक पार्टिसिपेशन से हो, सोसाइटल पार्ट से हो, ठीक है, और आप सब कुछ देख लीजिए जितने पैराडॉक्सेस हैं इसमें रिलेटेड. आईएमआर बढ़ रहा है, आईएमआर घट रहा है ना, बट व्हाट इज एग्जैक्टली हैपनिंग विद द सेक्स रेशियो? How many of you are aware with the condition of China as of now? ये पाकिस्तान ब्राइड वाला हिसाब किताब तो देखा होगा आप लोगों ने. You must be knowing about the Pakistan bride, ना? What is the exact reason behind this? In China, women are considered equal to men, and they are respected very much since the ancient times. But what exactly is happening in the China right now is the sex ratio is 797, which is worse than Haryana, a case in point. Why? Because of one child policy. One child policy, and as it was a developing nation, so everybody wants security. So whenever a girl was born, she was killed. Okay, nobody told them that there is a child in our home. So resultantly, there is a sex ratio of 797 right now. So what exactly, and more importantly, the entrance of Chinese college examination is very tough. Gakao examination, it is often called. So you see that people, students, males are forced to buy a home. If only if they have a home, they will get married. One, they will get a good relation or proposal. Two, that even if they are working, they have to buy the bride from Vietnam, CMLV countries, Pakistan, Myanmar. And there are many organizations in the China which is promising that if your wife runs away within 1 year of marriage, we will refund you completely. Such kind of schemes is ongoing in China right now. And there are so many things too. So you see that because of this, a frequent mental breakdown cases is being witnessed in the China. Girls were not restricted. Yet the demand on the boys created a conditions in which people are running from the country, or there is a interesting case of brain drain. Okay, and there is an increasing case of breakdown in the overall societal fabric. Okay, so this will be long-term consequences of if this trend will continue. Implications are written. Antithesis, some says that gender roles are well defined. If we try to involve it, see the curious case in this case is the gynecologist. Nobody wants to visit a male gynecologist, and so such cases are this can be used as a counter argument. However, there is not much to write, but yes, you can say that that from east to west this notion persists, and even this persistence, if you want to contemporize it, you have to, then you can give the example of digital one where there is a propagation of the striyata and demure women, that woman should be dressed like this and this, like kind of this, and there's an increasing tendency of emotional appeal for the men to be more active. Masculine नहीं है, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, इस टाइप वाले जो लाइंस होते हैं ना, तो ये दोनों के बीच में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आपने दिखाना है. ओके, और थोड़ा डिजिटल का साइबर सेल से रिलेट कर दीजिए. नाउ नेक्स्ट टॉपिक, education is what remains after one has forgotten, one has learned in the school. So where is the paradox in this topic? Formal education and versus value education. What is the use of the school if one keeps forgetting what he has learned in the school? भाई इससे बड़े तो ऑनलाइन नहीं पढ़ लो, स्कूल जाने की जरूरत क्या है? Are you getting my point? The dropout ratio, huh?
In terms of like the education which we need in real life versus the education.
Yes, we can try to identify various things like formal education versus informal education, knowledge versus wisdom. But here is the paradox that schools are institutions of learning. So this was the main paradox: transient knowledge versus lasting education. So apart from the, like he said, that apart from the knowledge, we are able to understand the socialization process through the schools. But again, the statement tries to highlight the importance of value education. Okay. Differences between acquiring information and internalizing knowledge, the last line. Okay, the essence of education lies not in rote memorization, but understanding the application. It's just a part of the lifelong process. Theory, skills, education is wisdom, critical thinking, and value. So there is a very famous statement by the Paulo Freire that man is an animal in the world and with the world. Paulo Freire. He was an educationalist, pedagogist. So he worked in the Brazilian rainforest for the tribal children because the dropout ratio was very high. So he said that man is an animal in the world and with the world. Meaning that if there is a consciousness, then it has to be there in the world. You will be able to identify something only and only when you will be with them. Are you getting my point? So this is the part that school may provide critical thinking, opposition, everything will be learned in the school. That education goes beyond merely academic knowledge and encompasses a broader understanding of life and experiences. Now, what are the perspectives to understand this topic? Is that lasting impact of education should be there. Reason, question, adapt, evolve rather than just recalling the facts. Traditional benchmark of education that prioritizes grade over marks over holistic understanding and personal growth. Okay, the statement promotes the idea that learning is a continuous journey and it does not end with the formal schooling. So this was the whole idea about the education. Now, why this question was asked, first we have to understand that. What is the context to it? Because ultimately we are moving towards a society which is increasing being on the scene on the lines of dehumanization. People are not caring for each other. There is only sense of profit motive. So, a kind of capitalism, dog eats dog wala kind of society is being witnessed. So why and what is lacking? Is the education system in itself enough? Or what should be the frame of curriculum or the curriculum and pedagogic processes? So all these things has to be addressed in this topic. So you have to write the facts of national curriculum framework. Okay, or new education policies that value based education and component to the value based educations. Okay, the limitations of rote learning. So all these things has to be supported, and it will be supported only and only when you do have the command over the GS papers. So both these topics were fact-based topics. So anything you have read about the woman empowerment will come under the first topic, and anything which you have read under the education will come under the second topic. So there is no perspective to it. How to make the essay interesting will be the major focus. Okay, so this is how you will approach the essay. Any general questions related to essay you want to ask? Any general questions that how to approach the introduction, or what should we write in B forward? Any questions like that?
That they made about 1.5 page paragraph, long paragraph, short paragraph.
See, the idea about the paragraph is what is your main idea in the essay or in that paragraph has to be written in the first 2 lines. So just try to write the main ideas in the first 2 lines and support it with the example of the any dimensions which you have talked about in the pastel kind of thing. And when you are jumping to the next paragraph, relate it with the first paragraph. So this is the idea. This is how you will bring flow and continuity in the essay. The size of paragraph doesn't matter, but the important thing that paragraph should be a complete kind of literature in itself. It should be very complete. It should be complete. Read newspapers and analyze any topic, any quote, which you come across. Just take the papers. See, this should be the focus on analysis, the insights. How many meaning of a single thing you can find. That should be the main approach. Meaning of a single word you can find. In how many parts you can break a single word.
We face challenge of writing different new words and connecting different new ideas. For example, wondering whether new words lana different paragraphs becomes.
See, once you will finish the essay, ethics paper, you will find, believe me, you will have a lot of new words. value based words. You will have a lot of word which you can eventually write in the essay. And you have to use the words. That's why it is often said that you have to integrate ethics with the essay, society with the essay, because largely these are the two parts. Build your narrative only on the basis of argument and support it with the kind of words that you use in the ethics. Temperance, perseverance, okay, integrity, transparency, such kind of word. It should not look like a mechanical one. It should, the flow and continuity is the most important part of the essay. Otherwise, what you will do is, don't write it like you have written the GS paper in the bullet formats or something like that. There should be, see, have you seen movie, any of the, I believe that you must be, all of you people have seen some kind of movie, na? See, what is introduction? The trailer. You watch a film just because you like the trailer in the hall. Okay, you like a trailer and you watch the movie. And what is trailer exactly? It introduces some idea to you. And also it gives you an idea about the climax. थोड़ा सा antithesis भी रहता ही रहता है उसमें. Now second part is by looking at the movie you identify which kind of movie it will be. It can be a thriller movie, it can be a noir movie, or it can be just simple and plain drama, comedy. So you get the idea about it. That is the interpretation part. That how you have interpreted the topic. Now you will start writing the elaboration or the body part, where you will support the statement. Largely, in 2/3 of the essay, you will be supporting the statement. And while supporting the statement, you have to find the arguments and the examples that supports your argument. After that, 1/3 of the essay in the elaboration part will be the antithesis. Only a minor part will be antithesis. Now, whatever you have written in the antithesis, just question it in one line only. Just question it one line only, and based on that line, write the way forward. Okay. Now, what you have written till now, so there must be some element of questions to it. भाई, that is this the India we want? है ना? आप कुछ तो लिखते लिखते ऐसे कहीं पे पॉइंट पे तो आओगे. Is this the idea of the India Nehru opted for or Gandhi hoped for? So such kind of the thing is called rhetorical, because these are kind of questions which don't need any kind of answering. And you have given the answers in the first part itself, in all the parts you have written till now. So try to finish the conclusion on rhetorical line by questioning something. है ना? जो आपने लिखा है अभी तक, थोड़ा सा इसको इमोशनल क्वेश्चन कर लो. So generally try to finish the intro or conclusion on the rhetorical line. So this should be the flow, and every para should be connected with the previous and the subsequent para. Antithesis should be before way forward, Dilshad. It should be before forward, because based on that antithesis you will be making the way forward. Na? You will question the antithesis itself. See, what is antithesis is an aberration. It's not a normality. An aberration cannot be a normal situation. Counter argument for, even if you are questioning, say for example, if we say aggression, भाई एग्रेशन होना चाहिए या नहीं होना चाहिए, क्या होगा आपका आंसर? हाँ? कब वो सिचुएशन क्या होगी? अल्टीमेटली यू सी द ह्यूमन इवोल्यूशन इज द रिजल्ट ऑफ द एग्रेशन ना. वी वर एग्रेसिव टुवर्ड्स द फेलो एनिमल एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी सर्वाइव्ड. तो एग्रेशन बुरी तो नहीं है कहीं ना कहीं, इंपॉर्टेंस तो है ही एग्रेशन का. सो एवरीथिंग, बट वी कैन नॉट बी एंग्री एवरी टाइम ना. भाई, if Virat Kohli will be angry every time, then he will keep losing the money and the matches. He will be banned from every match. So what's the point of being aggressive all the time? So aggression is necessary. But if we will be, aggressive, then we will be something like China, fighting with all the neighbors. Okay. So, there's a limiting point to it, that it should be reserved. it should be internalized, because when you internalize it, this is the way forward. When you internalize it, you get something by your works which forces you to do some action by which you can excel. So you wrote one line about the antithesis, and on that basis you started writing the way forward.
It is like first intro, then interpretation, then two-thirds support the argument, and then antithesis some parts, then way forward and
Way forward and conclusion. So introduction and interpretation will be 15% of your essay. Way forward and conclusion will be 15% of your essay. So rest 70% will be the main part.
So what are the like some key aspects or characteristics for like to score the maximum in essay? Like
It should be emotional. It should be emotional. It should not be mechanical.
So during brainstorm,
हाँ.
arguments की जगह पहले examples याद आते हैं.
वही तो change करना है ना. So yeah, basically we cannot use the example to justify the topic. Rather, we have to find the arguments to justify the topic. The moment you maybe in the first 2 or 3 essays you will find it difficult, but eventually and consequently when you will try to look for that in this case, because you have read so much, you have read from your class 1 to graduation and all during this preparation journey. So that's a lot of reading. You don't have to need anything, learn anything separately for the essay. Just use it. Use your core branches if you are engineer or doctor or accountant. So they say, what is accountancy after all? If you will try to analyze it, then you will realize that it's nothing. It's the financial health of a company. That is the philosophical interpretation. So whatever you have read till now, you can use it in any way. Even use your optionals in the essay writing. But it should be generalized. Though not jargonized. Just don't throw the jargons of political science, deconstructivism or sociology or for that matter philosophy in it. Epistemological knowledge. सुनने में बड़ा अच्छा लगता है, marks नहीं मिलते. ठीक है. Okay, so just don't use the jargons of the optional, but yes, you can read the write the case studies or the examples you have read elsewhere. So you can use it. You can use the components of the structural engineering of the civil engineering if you want, but to the context.
I'm not getting the actual meaning of the argument.
Argument, so break the topic. What we were discussing. See, the statement, the learning is a continuous journey, and how we devised it. It was an argument, na. What is the meaning? What's your optional? Public administration. So if we talk about administration, okay, then or probably bureaucracy. Then bureaucracy, we know that this is the Weberian definition of the bureaucracy. But come to India, come to the concept of identity, and then we know that there is a concept called salacracy too. है ना? Salacracy for the uninitiated is something that when the identities in the traditional authority get mixed up in the bureaucracy. So this is the idea of that salacracy. यही है ना? Rix बोलते हैं ऐसा कुछ. So the idea is what? The idea is that anything can be interpreted in the multiple way. The school. Say for example, if we use the word school. School is something that yes, there are buildings to it, there are benches to it, and kids go and study there. The school of life. अब यहाँ पे स्कूल का मीनिंग तो चेंज हो रहा है ना. So how many meaning you are able to find with the topic. So this is what is the argument, and in how many ways you can see the topic. So that is the idea about the argument. That fragment the topic and relate it with anything.
How will come to know that we are interpreting it and the topic is in the right manner?
That's why I tell you to find multiple interpretations, because as it happens that a number of students come and say that sir, I took the wrong meaning of the topic. It happened this year also. On the face of it, this topic looks easy, but the moment when you will be sitting the examination and your brain will be working in such a fashion that very obvious thing can be understood in a very complicated way.
So also our interpretation interpretation sometimes is linked to our life also, like how we see things and suddenly we see a thing, we try to put it in our own style.
So this will happen. That's why I tell you, na, that in see example in interpretation. The moment when we will be giving the model answers, na, so all the paradoxes, contrast, implications, and way forward will be written, and the different interpretations of the topic will be written. See, this is the interpretation of the topic. Not all wonder, all lost. See, these are nearly 5 interpretation is written. Just read it. याद आपको सोचना है, मे बी अगर आपको 2 भी याद आ गया ना, फिर भी आपके ऐसे में तो बन ही जाएगा ना. आपने 2 को तो पकड़ लिया, याद नहीं करना आपने कुछ, आपने सोचना ही है सब कुछ. बिल्कुल, मैंने ये सोचा. ठीक है. सो इट्स कंप्लीटली डिपेंड अपॉन योर एबिलिटी टू थिंक, दैट हाउ यू आर थिंकिंग. And for this matter, essay is a completely different paper altogether, because there is no essay in ethics. There is no fixed way to write the paper. So essay is all about, how you are thinking and how you are relating that particular topic to the contemporary realities, not historical, ancient, medieval realities. Contemporary realities. What is the manifestation of it? See, nearly the points are same. There is a bit of difference, but maybe it can be interpreted in multiple ways. So this is what you have to do. Generally, just try to find 2 or 3 kind of thing in interpretation, and your essay will be complete. Okay. Any other questions? No. Huh.
So is it necessary to write the explanation of that code?
It is necessary to write the explanation. Again, as I told you, that any code can be interpreted in multiple ways. So probably the examiner will be not be able to figure out the exact meaning of the quote if it is not that too direct. So it is all the above quote asserts that the humanity or something, the above, and just related with the whatever you are writing. If you are writing an anecdote or some kind of a story or some kind of mythological things, so relate it with that. See, for example, there was a movie. I generally find it very easy to explain the concept with the movie, but the problem is most of you people haven't seen the movies. Okay. There is this very famous movie, and I'm just forgetting the name. The first line of that movie is, "Don't rush to the war, for war is an addiction." And the director name is Catherine Bigelow, and I believe that it is a movie of 2012 or 2011. It is based on some kind of Iraq war, where there is a person who generally defuses the bomb, or he is a bomb expert. And anyone remembers that kind of movie? Marvel वाली movie देखे हो ना? Marvel, उसमें वो तीरंदाज नहीं होता, वो बंदा उसमें हीरो रहता है. हाँ, Hawkeye. हाँ, Jeremy Renner. So he is the hero. Yes, you can quote it, but see, it depends. If the topic is very obvious, then it is why, if you are able to understand that why this question was asked, then start with the kind of thing. किसमें?
In this education is what one will.
हाँ.
तो उसमें मैंने लिखा कि वर्ल्ड ट्रेड सेंटर सिविल इंजीनियर्स ने ही बनाया है. Then again Osama bin Laden was a civil engineer. So something like that I started.
That's fine.
Does this always work, or you have to coding with it?
No, it always works. अब उसमें लिखा क्या है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है, ठीक है, वो देखना पड़ेगा ना, ठीक है. तो वो ज्यादा समझना इम्पोर्टेंट है कि आपने लिखा क्या था इसमें. हिंदी ऑल्सो. Anything can be. Just read the previous model answers. Sometimes I start with the Bible, sometimes I start with Quran और कुछ भी जो मन में आता है उससे शुरू कर देता हूँ. कोई लिमिट थोड़ी है. अभी जैसे लास्ट ईयर हमने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था, इन वॉर द ट्रूथ इज फर्स्ट कैजुअलिटी. ये क्वेश्चन था हमारा, इन वॉर द ट्रूथ इज फर्स्ट कैजुअलिटी. नहीं, you have to translate it. Okay, this is very important that you have the Hurt Locker. The name of the movie was Hurt Locker, and it is a really brilliant movie. Okay, Hurt Locker, Hurt, Hurt Locker. Okay, so always translate whatever you have. Even if you want, then you can start with some kind of sayari, but it is always in your interest that you should translate it.
But the meaning can be changed.
The meaning, see, this is the beauty about the essay. Now, anything can be interpreted in any way movie. See, how many of you students have how many of you have the philosophy optional here? Anyone? That's philosophy. See, just think about what is Ganga? What is Ganges river, if we say? है ना? अब फिलोसफिकली अगर हम देखें तो भी गैंजेस तो कुछ है ही नहीं, क्योंकि वो पानी तो चला गया जिसको हम गंगा जी का बोल रहे थे. तो मीनिंग तो देखने वाले पे है ना गुरु. What way you are seeing that determines the meaning. What is your perspective that determines the meaning, rather than what you have read. If you will just try to look for the meaning based on your reading, then that will be mechanical approach. So just try to go by your heart, go with your heart. Okay, and only then you will score very good marks. Otherwise, see, marks in any case you can score marks, but the difference of 15 or 20 marks is only resolved by this use of dil, khayal. Okay, see, for example, if we talk about this, yes, I was talking about in war the truth is first casualty. So I started with this kind of वो वाला story याद होगा किसी को, Ashwathama, the Mahabharat war, and how Ashwathama was killed. याद है ना? No? See, as it happened that Ashwathama got this sharp Ashirwad, I guess. He got the blessing that you will not die. So this was the blessing was given, or probably something like or कुछ ऐसा हुआ था, वो मुझे exactly याद नहीं है. So and he was just killing the Pandavas soldiers. So what exactly Krishna did कि Drone को मारना था, Drone was killing it. So he told Yudhishthira to say a lie that Ashwathama is killed. So Yudhishthira being known as the person who will never lie. So just as the war was starting, Krishna went to the Yudhishthira and say it. And before that, Bhim killed an elephant whose name was Ashwathama. Okay, so when the war was started, so this before the war, there was a rumor in both the camps that Ashwathama is killed. So Drone came to Yudhishthira as he will never tell a lie. So कि Ashwathama जिंदा है या नहीं. So Ashwathama, the answer to Yudhishthira, answer of that question by Yudhishthira was Ashwathama hato naru va kunjaro. That आगे का मुझे याद नहीं है, तो इसलिए I don't know वाला कह के उन्होंने छोड़ दिया. The naru Ashwathama hato naru va kunjaro. When he was saying this, na Krishna just used his shank and started the war. And in the meanwhile, someone came, Drishdum came and killed Ashwathama. So a person who knew that this is going to happen and this can be the consequence of it, lied in the face of war. So this now this is the story. And the interesting thing is that how you will write it. Will you show Yudhishthira as someone who will never lie? The paragon integrity, the paradigm of integrity. Yet in war, he lied. So this is how, if you are starting it from and showing the procedural aspect that this has to be case, this was the case, and this has happened. That in itself, it is a complete story. That's why if you will read the syllabus carefully, then you will see that UPSC emphasizes upon two important words. And it writes it in bold that any answers, even in GS of that matter, any other paper, has to be written with brevity and succinctness. This is very important word. that even in GS, if you are giving them vague information, then you will not fetch marks. So, or while particularly in the essay where you have the word limitations of 800 to 1200 words, okay, so you have to be very succinct in your approach. Yes, we give the model answers of 2500 words, but it is for the purpose that you get the multiple interpretations of it out of it. It is never as a model answer. You can take anything out of it. So that is how you are supposed to approach the essay. Any other questions?
For example, in this topic, not all who wonder are lost. Sir, I started this with one शायरी that कोई किसी को आज मतलब घर से निकलता ही मिल गई सफलता हमारी तरह जिंदगी भर मतलब सफर में रहा मतलब इसको इंग्लिश में कन्वर्ट करके लिखना है क्या है
No, just what this quotes mean. This is that should be the crux of the quote should be the next line, the meaning.
So I have quoted this.
But having told you, as you have told me this, so this is not the right quotation or particularly sayari with which you are going to start the essay, because ultimately you are showing that ultimately wondering leads to some kind of pessimism. So this is starting with a negative connotation. है ना, बहुत ही ज्यादा नेगेटिव है. किसी को निकल गई सफलता, भाई हम तो ऐसे वेले घूमते ही रहे यार, क्या ही ठीक है. तो so that is that, है ना. तो just remember that between fake optimism and cynic pessimism there lies a territory called hope. Okay, between fake optimism and cynic pessimism there lies a territory called hope. Okay, so this should be the main line of the essay. इंडिया विश्व गुरु तब तक नहीं बनेगा जब तक मोदी मतलब चीजें ठीक नहीं होंगी. ठीक है. So you cannot write that India will become Vishwa Guru, provided should be the word. India will become Vishwa Guru if there is no communalism, if there is the proper social justice. इतनी सारी चीजें होंगी जो आज तो हो नहीं सकती. ठीक है, तो अभी तो विश्व which मंजिल मिल जाएगी भटक कर ही सही. एंड व्हाट वाज द नेक्स्ट लाइन? मोहरा. Yes. Because flexibility and adaptability is a key in the today's world. Even if we see someone who is not wondering or who is sticking to the reality, then in this world we have to be flexible and adaptable to the situation. So at the face of it, it will look that no, we are not being wondrous. But somehow if you will try to see deep inside it, that yes, we are wondrous because we are adopting to the newer technologies. Okay, so that is the whole context. ठीक है, चलिए फिर. Okay, thank you. Welcome. सर चलेगा, कॉपी दे दे, पन्नी में डाल लियो किसी में.